Look, let me start from the top. I'm surprised Chelsea waited till deadline day to start looking for a defensive midfielder. At the start of the window, when Donkomi started, remember I spoke about the fact that you can't plan a season around N'Golo Kante. Yeah. His injury problems were glaring. Chelsea started suffering from the tail end of last season. And if you look at his fitness issues coupled with Kovacic also, Chelsea needed to refresh the midfield. And I thought that would be one of the areas that they'll be looking at. In fact, if you look at their squad at the end of last season, they needed quite a number of reinforcements throughout the pitch. They needed a number 9. But at the start of the window, because Lukaku was returning, I didn't think they would loan him back. I thought they would let him try another season. But once he went, it means they needed to replace him in the midfield also, which I thought was very telling, because I'm of the view that if you have good cover, if you have a very good defensive midfielder, it helps out the defense a lot. And Chelsea's defense was exposed a lot more times at the tail end of last season, where N'Golo Kante and Kovacic started having their injury problems. So I'm surprised they left it till the last day to start looking. And if you look at the caliber of DMs that they were going for, they started with Alvarez, a top defensive midfielder, Ajax. We know him from Ten Hag's days, and he's so important to their system. It was almost impossible for Ajax to let him go, especially as Susu has explained, the Dutch window ending yesterday, meaning that Ajax would not have the opportunity to replace him. That wasn't going to happen. Then they jumped on to Zakaria. Now, Zakaria is young. Interesting thing is that Man United actually had the opportunity to sign him.
I remember.
In January.
Yeah.
They passed up that opportunity. Thank you very much, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They're not serious. And he went to Juventus. His time at Juventus has been a bit patchy. He's not been able to get that consistent run. But he has the ability. And I will judge him from his time in the Bundesliga. Top defensive midfielder. His reading of the game is excellent. And he's also one of those DMs who is good on the ball. He has the basic ability to see a pass and give it. His awareness is also very good. So Chelsea are getting it. By his profile, he's certainly going to be, or certainly the type of player that Chelsea needs. But if I go back a year by this time, Chelsea left it late again. And I'm saying this because it's a recurring theme. Yeah. Even at the start of last 2 seasons, Chelsea knew they needed to refresh their midfield. They left it till the last day to go for Saul Niguez, if you remember. Saul Niguez never kicked off, and he's been sent back to his parent team. Now Chelsea have left it again to the last day to Denis Zakaria. And you see, this is in this sort of position, if you are not coming in with the reputation of a top defense, if you've not done it over and over and over again, and you are now coming to learn your trade, you need a preseason. You need time to settle and gel with your teammates. So that's where I'm a bit skeptical about the fact that will he be able to straight away walk into this Chelsea team and give them what they need, because you've seen them trying. They've gone with Jorginho and Gallagher. Now Gallagher has been red carded. Now you don't know who is going to do that defensive work in the midfield, and I think that's why they've brought Zakaria. So I'll not be surprised if they throw him into the free right from the beginning. But as to whether it will work, I'm a bit skeptical. And we also know the Premier League. If you start poorly, it could easily go against you. If you start with 1 or 2 bad games, just like Saul did, confidence will be shot, and how is he going to recover? So that's where my concern is. But in terms of profile, he's a player I like very much. He's young. If Chelsea had signed him permanently, I'll say it would make perfect sense. But the fact that it's a loan deal.
Let me know what you make of Denis Zakaria to Chelsea. It's a loan deal with a £30 million option to buy. It's not mandatory. There's a potential 5-year contract also to be signed based on how Chelsea feel about it. Let me know what you think. In fact, before I even get into other things, Coach, you see, you have been making this promise to United fans until today. Frenkie De Jong, it's deadline day.
Yeah.
The Frenkie side of town is dead silent.
Like I've said, and I've always been very consistent, I said if there's going to be a movement, he will come home. The boy has decided he won't move. And of course, he's also decided that he's not going to cut his pay. And at the end of the day, it is the people at Barcelona who will need to sort it out. But one thing that is sure, that the boy is aware that Man United are very much interested in him, how old is he? 25 years. United will usually go back. It happened with Jadon Sancho. United went back. They got their man. We just saw Sancho score a beautiful goal against Leicester City. This Frenkie De Jong thing, unless he decides to stay. I've always said that. If he decides to stay, so be it. But where there's going to be a competition with another team as to who gets him.
Yes, cash.
Once there's cash, you don't have any problem at all. He will come home. And the relationship he has with Ten Hag, I'm sure it has gotten to the stage where he's passionately told Ten Hag that, look, I personally don't think it is time for me to go or for me to leave. But you get my word on this. As at when I decide I want to go, you'll be given the first opportunity to say no. And I'm sure that is where it has gotten to. But having said that, he hasn't come. He remains back at Barcelona. It doesn't mean Man United didn't do whatever it is. Look, everything was on the table. United had agreed a deal with Barcelona in principle. That deal was there. United had agreed his wages with his agent. Everything was set. All that needed to happen was for Frankie to say, yeah, I think it is time. I want to go. But he couldn't say that. He came with the fact that his fiancée loves the place. She wants to be in Catalan. He just bought a new house and all that. Less than 6 months. He doesn't really see himself living. But at the end of the day, he's decided to stay. And at the end of the day, if you look at the player like Cristiano Ronaldo, he wanted to leave. From the way things has happened, he's also decided. So these things do happen. But like I said, if there's going to be any movement about Frenkie De Jong, he will come home. No team in the world will go and compete and win that battle. Let me just say something small on Zakaria.
Nice one.
Look, he's a good player. I'm not going to say he's not a good player, but he's got a very bad injury record. That must be put on record as well, because you remember that he sustained this very career-threatening injury in Germany. That has actually slowed him down till now. And I'm sure Juve, I think they bought him for close to 6 million euros or so, somewhere in January.
Very cheap.
Very cheap. And I'm sure Juve, for Juve to have told themselves that, look, in less than a year, you are still not an integral part for the coach who decided to bring you in, then that, in my view, sends a signal to whoever has gone in for him. Koranteng did so well when he spoke about Chelsea's inability to get the problem solved ahead of time. They've waited. Zakaria, what they've thought of, nobody saw this coming, isn't it?
Nope.
We just woke up this morning.
Zakaria is a second option, actually. So they wanted Alvarez from Ajax.
From Ajax. So I think the thing started kicking off somewhere around 12 midday, when it was very clear that Ajax would not let go of Alvarez. Then they said, look, we need to get another option. Because constantly they've been reminded that, look, N'Golo Kante, if he's fit, he's the best in the world. But he's gotten to the stage where his game has to evolve. And for Koranteng, you can help me out in this as well. I think the coach of N'Golo Kante is not helping the young man. I think the time has come for them to now begin to restrict what he does as a player. Because that is the only... But if he's going
Remember, Chelsea fans were happy about forward-moving Kante.
Yes, but...
Ball advancing Kante.
We saw the other day, nobody kicked him. He just stretched, and the thing came. And he's gone out.
What thing is that?
Incrodono.
Then
Quay came. Now he's gone out. You don't want that to happen. It is there. It's not going to go away because of the sort of game he plays, the way he tends to exert his energy, everything into it. So the time has come for them to restrict the way whatever he does as a player. But on Zakaria, look, if they can keep him fit, I repeat, if they can keep him fit and get him to acclimatize to the intense nature of the EPL, I think they've bought a very, very solid and imposing DM, because physically he's strong, he's very good with his passes, he's very good on the ball, and he's a team player. He reads the game very, very well. So it's a move I will personally don't comment, on condition that he stays fit. But from the way N'Golo Kante is behaving, I just hope and pray that he will not infect, because he's also coming with his own problem.
Crododistic
That is the problem. But Zakaria moves.
Don't go with. Let's stay with Chelsea. Susu Graham, what do we know about Aubameyang to Chelsea Football Club? This move seemed like it was off like a few days ago. It looks like it's almost been completed as things stand now. Just give us an update on that.
As you can see, I'm monitoring the interwebs, and the latest information is...
You mean monitoring?
I'm monitoring and evaluating. So the latest news seems that he's done his medical, and now they're just waiting on the Marcos Alonso side. Remember, it's a swap deal, so both contracts need to be signed, but it looks like everything is done. He's just doing his medical, and it looks like the deal will go through. So Chelsea have picked him up, and just a note for Arsenal fans, you've also picked up a small fee as part of it, because there was a clause in his free transfer contract to Barcelona that any potential sell on Arsenal got a percentage. So Arsenal have also benefited financially from this move.
Lovely. So it's £10 million from what I'm getting. £10 million which will be paid as part of that particular swap deal, and then Marcos Alonso will head in the other direction. Daniel, let's talk about Liverpool and Arthur Melo. I personally don't like this move. I think Arthur is a cheap move. I think Liverpool have been backed into a corner to do this particular deal. A few seasons ago, he was a decent player, but he's not lived up to all the hype that initially came up with him.
Ben, quickly before I go to Arthur Melo,
okay,
this Aubameyang transfer, again, it's interesting how Chelsea have left it till the last day to go for an obvious one, to address an obvious problem that they had in their team. And the interesting thing about this transfer is it is not a progressive fix. It is not a sustainable fix. Aubameyang is 33. Let's say, give and take 2 seasons for Chelsea, and they'll be back in the market for another forward. They spent 114 million euros on Lukaku. They spent over 60 million pounds on Timo Werner only to sell him back. And none of these forwards have worked out. None of these purchases have worked out. And then it was very obvious. Lukaku left in the first 2-3 weeks of the transfer window. And they've left it. They knew they needed a striker. We've heard rumors about Chelsea chasing a striker here and there. And the fact that it's taken the last day for them to address it is also another problem. Because when you see these signs manifesting over and over again, it starts to raise questions about the capabilities and abilities of the guys in charge, and whether they understand what the job is, because it's very problematic. Chelsea have now lost how many? 2 games so far this season. They are struggling to score goals. It's all over the place, and now a player who is not suited to play the role is being blamed for something that he's not more or less not supposed to be doing in Kai Havertz. Now that burden is on him, and it's a bit unfair. They needed to get a striker much earlier. Yes, Aubameyang is quality. Yes, he's a top-class striker. But how long will he be able to give Chelsea his best? Are his best years still with him as it stands at 33? We wait to see, and we hope that Chelsea have got this right. But for Arthur Melo, it's very funny because, and I'll pin this on Klopp. He has played down the need to get an extra midfielder for the past 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
It was so obvious, even from last season, that Liverpool needed an extra midfielder. If you remember last year, deadline don't call me. I spoke about the fact that it pained me that Liverpool didn't go for Camavinga.
Yep.
That thing, look, Liverpool's need for a midfielder has been there for, I think, 2 or 3 seasons.
Exactly.
They made a big mistake with Naby Keita. It's not working. I don't know why Liverpool are insisting, and every season, at the start of every season, they are insisting and hoping and praying that he stays fit. He's not going to stay fit. He's past it. Thiago Alcantara is past it. The mileage, it has caught up with him. He will consistently get injured. It will happen. And you see, it's normal. As you grow, these things happen. Liverpool have had to refresh, and some way, somehow, they've not done it. Can you believe Oxlade-Chamberlain is still on their books? It's very surprising. Arthur Melo is basically like Naby Keita in terms of injury and inconsistency. It is very, look, it's a loan deal. Panic buy on the last day. Is he going to be able... I understand it's a stopgap try and fix for this situation. But what quality is he bringing? One, I've already mentioned. He's an already inconsistent player. He has injury issues. He's been out of form for like 2 years. He's walking to a team that is already 5 games into a Premier League season. A team that is struggling already per Liverpool standards. Yeah. How is he going to add something positive to this team? It's very disturbing. And it's very funny that this is happening to Liverpool, because we know them in the past to plan their transfer. Their business is so well done. Look at how they signed even Darwin Núñez at the start of this window. Look at how they signed Jota. Look at how they signed somebody like Fabinho. They identified the problem like Man City. Quickly they get in the fix. But for them to leave such a key position at the midfield so late in the transfer window to try and fix, I honestly think they are wasting money on Arthur Melo, because will he even be fit in the first place? And if he's fit, does he have the quality that Liverpool requires to challenge? I don't think so.
Arthur Melo,
don't call me
from Daniel Susu.
I disagree a bit in the sense that his profile is one that only Thiago has in their midfield. I understand he's not as good. He doesn't have that quality. But when you think of the way he plays and he can calm the tempo and run the tempo of the team, Liverpool don't have another midfielder that does that. When Henderson does it, you can see there's a clear difference. I believe that part of the reason Arthur Melo makes sense on a level is that the drop-off between him and Thiago will not be as big, in the sense that he can play that similar way and give them that similar style of play when Thiago is not fit. Daniel is right. He's not as reliable. He's not very consistent. But he's not there to be a starter. The idea is that when Thiago plays his 30, 35 games this season, the other 15, 20 games you miss, Arthur Melo will step in.
Is Thiago going to be able to play 30, 35 games this season?
He's been doing it. He gets in and out, but he usually gets up to that number. So if you put it that way, that you know that he's only going to come and play maybe the 20, 25 games max, it's a sensible transfer in that sense. But Daniel is right about the planning aspect. They should have bought a midfielder like that a long time ago and got a higher quality option. But in terms of the profile he's coming to fit and play in the team, it's a smart move. It's just that they could have done better than Arthur Melo. But in principle, I don't see the problem with the transfer.
Coach, just quick thoughts
with this Arthur Melo thing, I think once again, Jurgen Klopp have disappointed me tremendously. I think he saw the problem coming, and by his very high standard, as a manager who tend to identify the problem of his team early and immediately try and get it fixed. I'm shocked that it took on the last day for them to go for a player again nobody saw coming, isn't it? Because look, on the books of Liverpool, I'm sure Arthur Melo was presented to them this morning, and they look at the situation. What exactly does he offer? That is where I tend to agree with Susu a bit. He's very, very calm in possession, but he will need to find a way to adjust to the English Premiership. This is a move, in my view, that would have been successful if he had gone through the preseason with Liverpool and understand how the machine works. Because this is a machine that once it is sparked on and it starts going, it can match up to any demand of the EPL. Now, if you are bringing in a player who is expected to walk into the team because of the injuries to Thiago, Naby Keita, and the inefficiency and effectiveness of James Milner and co., then he should be inclined with the tempo of the machine, with the speed of the machine, with the intensity of the machine. But as it stands, Arthur Melo, I don't remember the last time he had a very good run, even in the Juve team.
Oh no, he's barely played. In and out. He's very
so now,
irregular.
Without any proper preseason, and with the fact that if you look at the pace that is being set, Liverpool, as we speak, are how many points off the lead? Is it 7 or 9? They are that points off the lead. So if they are already playing catch up, you want to bring in somebody who walk into the team and begin to get your team to move on the ascendancy, not for them to be retrogression at all. So again, club has shocked me. So it is sort of, we are hoping it works. It is not about hope. The people at the
this
blue
point
side,
is beyond hope.
Yes, the people at the blue side of Manchester, they have done their business.
Yeah.
They have done their business, and you can see that the thing is already beginning to pay. They are reaping the benefit of having to do their business early. So for me, I don't think I would don't commit this because
no don't commit for Arthur Melo. Liverpool fans, let me know what you think, but let me get to my message box in a bit. We'll talk about a few moves that are also still happening. Abdul Mumin Khalid, as Ghana's Abdul Mumin Khalid, used to play his football for Vitória Guimarães just a few hours ago. He's moved to the Spanish La Liga. We'll be getting to that in a bit. Baba Rahman, back to Reading. So let me get to my message box. This one here is from Ali inside Winneba North Campus. Says, hi Ben and team, you guys are doing a great job. Kudus. Chelsea signing Zakaria is one of the best deals this window. Richard from Damfa says Zakaria will make perfect sense if he remains fit. He has a very poor injury record. Lambert from Dodoa says, good evening, Ben and team. Please, I have a question. Can't United have a mutual agreement with Phil Jones, terminate his contract and part ways? Charlie, you know the deadline is Phil Jones' money that you're thinking about.
The key word there is mutual.
I don't think Phil Jones will want to give up.
He doesn't want to leave.
That paycheck is too good. And like I've always said, like Coach always says, there's cash. When it comes to United, payments will not delay.
Simple.
Oh, Charlie.
Everybody choose some.
You mean there's cash?
Choose
So
some.
Jones can enjoy for the last year. Oh,
Good
Charlie.
for you.
Hard. This one here is from Kulusevski. He says there was cash when Chelsea stole Mikel and Robin from the jaws of United. History shall repeat itself. This one is from Josh from Amanfrom. Says true meaning of life no balance is when Zakaria is being loaned out to another team, but Fred is a first team player at United. We United should have bought Zakaria. So that's a United fan there. Prince Henry from Koforidia says, I think Zakaria and Bamba Dieng to Chelsea will help us a lot. Congrats to United for their win tonight. Ejayao from North Kaneshi says Tuchel doesn't know how to buy players. It's evident and we can see it. I understand he wants Depay to add to Bamba Dieng. I'll give you an update on Memphis in a bit. He doesn't know what he wants. So Kofi Now from Twitter says that Willian, Liven Kurzawa, Carlos Vinicius, Dan James to Fulham. That's quite interesting. But trust Marco Silva. Every rusty metal will turn into gold. Fulham is here to stay. We'll get into Fulham in a bit. Fulham and Nottingham Forest. I will get into them specifically in a bit because Nottingham Forest are doing an absolute madness with their transfer window so far. Ni from Fertilizer says, good evening, boss. See, don't worry. Liverpool owners and club no be serious. One bit. How can you put your trust in Naby Keita, Ox and Milner? It's like putting your trust in the Ghanaian economy. Hey, Charlie. Guys are dropping bars. Let's get to another move that has garnered a lot of interest. Mohamed Kudus rejected bid to Everton. So this morning we heard that Everton presented a £15 million bid to Ajax, and like Susu explained, the Dutch Eredivisie closed their transfer window a day before this one is closing. So they say that nobody's moving. And this morning, Alvarez also decided that he won't go to training. Kudus didn't go to training yesterday. So it looks like that has become the measure of strike at Ajax. But they say that Kudus is not going anywhere. Daniel, there were a lot of conversations around, especially yesterday when Kudus decided not to train. What do we know about that particular situation, and what's the update on Kudus now?
So he was bent on leaving. He's not happy about the lack of playing time. He doesn't seem convinced. He had discussions with the Ajax board at the start of the season where they assured him that as the season progressed, he will get his time. He was part of their plans. But based on what has happened in the opening 4 or 5 weeks of the season, he's not convinced that he's in their plans. And you can understand from the players' point of view because there have actually been openings and opportunities where Ajax's talk should have been matched by their actions. In that, we saw Anthony go on strike. He missed 2 games. If you look at the Ajax attacking setup, one would have thought that Kudus will slot into that number 10 and then Berghaus will go out wide. That didn't happen. Kudus still remained on the bench. He's had just 29 minutes of football this season, and that is not the best. So yes, the player was bent on moving. His agents had spoken to Everton. Everton were interested, but it was down to the clubs agreeing a fee, and Ajax were adamant. Once the window was open, they were not going to get a replacement. They were certainly not going to let him go, and that's also because of the nature of this season. It's a long Eredivisie season. There's a cup. Ajax are playing the Champions League. There's a World Cup in between. So they need quality and they need a large squad. And from their point of view, that is why they were not. They did not allow Kudus to leave this particular window. So Kudus missed training yesterday. There were reports he also missed training today in a bit to force the move. And in fact, I heard not just him, but Alvarez also decided to go on strike. Look at the Ajax players. They noticed that when Lisandro Martinez wanted to go to United, he went on strike. When Anthony wanted to go to United, he went on strike and he got his way. So it looked like the Ajax players were following suit. But unfortunately,
they don't rate Van der Sar.
I'm telling you, unfortunately for them, the last 2 players who went on strike, their wishes were not granted. So yes, it looks like Kudus will stay. But look, just from an analysis point of view, I understand the player, but as to whether the Premier League is the right move for him, I've sat there and I've thought about things, and I don't think it's the right move. I think it's a blessing in disguise for him to stay at Ajax
instead of joining Frank Lampard.
Not Frank Lampard, the Premier League at this point in time. We already know he has issues with physicality. He's had a very poor injury record in the past couple of seasons. You don't want to come into a league that is, first of all, very intense, second of all, very physical, and then third of all, it has no room for error, especially where Everton are. You can't come in and have a grace period and try to warm yourself up in there. You have to hit the ground running and get things started from the go. And I don't think he's ready for that intensity. I feel like stay in Ajax. And I've spoken of how long this season is. The Champions League is starting next week. There will be cup games in between. You can easily start. You get your time. Yeah. By all means, your time will come. As to whether you get enough minutes that satisfy you as a player, that is there's always a debate to that. But you get your game time, and the World Cup will come. You are by all means going to the World Cup. Just remain fit, stay fit. After the World Cup, you can continue to fight. Look, and if you look at the Ajax squad, I just know that per his quality, he will get his opportunity. And once he's on the pitch for longer periods of time, he can show the quality that he has and prove his point to Ajax that he deserves to a starting spot. The Premier League move, no, I don't think not now. Because look, let's also be honest. Kudus hasn't proven himself in the Dutch Eredivisie.
Yep.
He's been very patchy. We know that he has the potential, but just when he starts to peak, then he gets injured. And it's happened. First season when he joined, he got that injury against Liverpool. He was ruled out for the rest of the season. Then last season also started. He was playing good. He came for the World Cup qualifiers, injured his rib, was ruled out for months. So it's not really gone his way in terms of that. So you don't want to come to the Premier League in a rush when you've not finished your development in the Eredivisie, and then come and, because we've seen players come, we've seen moves like that. Guys who have peaked one season, they come to the Premier League or they come on the big stage, then they get missing, and all of a sudden their career goes downhill. So I think he should take his time. He's 22, stay at Ajax, continue to fight. You have the quality, you will get your opportunities. When that happens and you establish at least 1 or 2 good seasons at Ajax, then you'll be ripe and ready for the Premier League. You shouldn't make the premature.
Ripe and ready. Coach, let me get to your United, since we are on the Ajax conversation. These days, Ajax and United are like Siamese twins. Your United, I mean, are you happy with the business you've done? Is there more coming in, or you think that at this point Ten Hag has what he takes or what he needs to succeed?
I think for now, the only player that personally I would have wanted to add to the jigsaw would have been Frenkie De Jong. The one he's not coming, and then I was hoping that Man United could have done something about Memphis Depay situation, but the young man some few minutes ago just tweeted that he's decided to stay at Barcelona for now. So maybe if there's going to be any move, then we'll look at it in January. But having said so, look, if you are United, you brought in Malacia, you brought in Martinez, Casemiro, Anthony, player we are yet to see, and then who? Christian Eriksen. Look at the difference all these guys have added to the United starting 11. Malacia has taken over from Luke Shaw. Martinez completely gotten rid of the size 50 man. Then there's Eriksen in midfield, who's sat Fred on the bench, and he's controlling and dictating the tempo of games. Definitely, Anthony will walk straight into this team on one side of the flank. So Ten Hag has brought in players that pair their quality looks very better than those who were there. So you expect the thing to progress or to go in the right direction. And for Casemiro, I mean, we just saw him, isn't it? The class is clear. His reading of the game, his anticipation, his passing, his one-touch movement, everything is absolutely brilliant. This is an established leader, somebody who knows how to ground up and win football games. Basically, that's what he does. He's done that for the past 9 to 10 years. Okay, so Ten Hag has brought in players that are taking you United to the next level. Are they up to the level of a Man City?
Are you up to the next level yet?
Of course. Far better than last season.
Okay.
That's what I mean by the next level. But are they up to the level of Man City? I don't think so. Can they sustain, have a good run and put some pressure on Man City? I don't think so. But apart from Man City, from the way Jurgen Klopp, from Mikel Arteta, yes, he's done 5 out of 5. But even the Arsenal supporters themselves are aware that this Sunday we are going to test them and test them good. Can you imagine Casemiro going into Odegaard? He won't come again, and that is going to slow them down. So as for Arsenal, they are well. They've done so far so very good. I was telling them that when you did 49, we stopped you with chicken ease. So you doing 5 has that doesn't shake even the one single roof at Old Trafford on Sunday, because we are going to rock them with intense.
You mean rock them good?
Good with intense on Sunday. They are aware of that. So Ten Hag has bought in players, and like I've always said, if there's this Brazilian left-footed magician, since we are there, Anthony. Oh, Anthony.
100 million Anthony.
Wow.
Hey, he's a baller.
Anthony.
Oh,
Anthony. Oh.
Anthony.
Ow.
Anthony. Anthony mo wakale gbe no.
Don't come in that Anthony move.
You have to.
Yeah.
Don't come in 10 times.
Oh, Charlie.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Anthony.
Charlie, 100 million.
I am telling
We
you.
will keep our eyes on him though.
Sunday, he will be unleashed. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Charlie.
And the likes. Who is there? Is that Jinjenko or who?
Tierney.
No more. I'm telling you. Look.
You mean they will drip from their nostrils?
From their nostrils.
Oh, Charlie. Oh, Charlie.
Like I said on scorecard, 0. Oh, I'm happy he has stayed. He needs some few more games to bring himself back to his level of fitness. There will be more crosses into the box. There will be proper headers into the back of the net of the opponent. I don't call me Anthony. I don't call me Eriksen. I don't call me Casemiro. I don't call me Malacia. And I don't call me the Butcher. Oh my goodness. The Butcher.
The Butcher.
Can I
ask Coach a question?
Quick one. Go ahead.
Who do you think has had the best window in England? Do you think it's Manchester United?
No, I don't think so.
So where would you rank Manchester United's window?
I think, look, apart from Man City, I think United have had the best window. You see, I'm looking at the top 6. Okay, Spurs did some very good business.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they bought in the boy from Mali, the Perisic, and then they brought Richarlison. Yeah. I think they bought in some good players. But of course, if you are looking for a team to take, if you are looking for players to take your team to the next level, I think Man City, they sold Gabriel Jesus. Look at who they went for.
Yep.
Agreed. And they sold Raheem Sterling. They've gone from that young Mexican striker who is looking very, very interesting as well. He looks what he's about, and he's been coached by the best in the business. So, in terms of ranking, look, I think Man City, whoever they've sold, I think if they had gotten the boy who went to Chelsea, to Korea, then I think they would have solved that left back. I still think the idea of forcing Cancelo to play as a left back, he's done it tremendously well there as a left back. But it would have been better for them to have had a natural left-footed player at left back who would have given them that proper balance in defense.
But they've got Sergio Gomez from.
He's left footed.
Yeah, he's left footed.
Sergio Gomez from Anderlecht.
It's very interesting. He used to play as a number 10, so he's similar to Zinchenko in that way.
But if you listen to what has been said about him, I doubt whether Pep is going to integrate him directly into the setup this season. Maybe he's the one for the future. But having said that, I think if you can add Haaland, ask me, would I exchange Haaland for any of our signings? Definitely. I'll put him in the United team ahead. Let's say Christian Eriksen. I would have done that. If you give me Eriksen and Haaland, I'll take Haaland all day. But at the end of the day, I think Man United to have done some good business. And like I'm saying, the presence of Casemiro, I think will be the difference in whatever Man United is. So I don't come here every move.
Let's get to the camp of Arsenal. 0549 986 996 0549 986 996 is the text, WhatsApp, and Telegram line. You can also get to us on Twitter. Tweet at me at Kojon Ketia. Use the hashtag Don'tCallMe. Arsenal were looking to see if they would get a replacement for Thomas Partey. Now, Douglas Luiz of Aston Villa emerged as a target for both Liverpool and for Arsenal. What we are getting, or the indication we are getting now, is that deal will not happen. Douglas Luiz will remain at Aston Villa. Susu, just quick thoughts on that one. The Brazilian international DM central midfielder as well was looking to possibly make a move. What do we know about that so far?
So it looks like Aston Villa are very reluctant to sell him because they keep rebuffing Arsenal, and there's 15 minutes left for this transfer to happen. So it doesn't look too good for Arsenal right now, and they do need a DM because from what we are hearing, Onene is going to miss a few months of action. So it's not looking good. It looks like Sambi Lokonga is the only DM available right now at the club.
But what's happened to Sambi Lokonga? They don't look like they trust him at all.
There's also the thing that Arteta has decided he prefers him to play the role Xhaka has been playing. So instead of him being Partey's backup, he should be Xhaka's backup. That's what it's looking more like. So he's not competing with Partey and Onene anymore. He's competing with Xhaka. That's why. And Xhaka that's the thing about Xhaka. Despite his flaws, he's one guy, he doesn't get hit very often. He's a very fit player.
Yeah.
So Lokonga is going to have to will maybe get his chance in the cup games and the Europa games. But if he's competing with Xhaka for a league spot, I don't see him playing much.
Well, that's the word so far on Douglas Luiz to Arsenal. That move will not happen. Let's talk about a Ghanaian transfer that has happened. Daniel.
Yeah, again, on this Douglas Luiz transfer. Remember the tail end of last season? When I gave my submission on Arsenal and their bottling of the top four.
Yeah.
I went back, spoke about injury problems to Tierney, Partey, how it had affected them. Looking at the stat, Partey has started just 57% of Arsenal games since he came. If anybody does their homework, you clearly see that he's not a player you can rely on long term. So why did Arsenal not sign a midfielder? I'm surprised. I'm talking as a central midfielder, defensive type midfielder, somebody who's directly replaces Partey. Because we know El Neni is like a
stopgap. With Tillema all season.
Exactly. But
all window, yeah.
We saw El Neni come in and do the job at the tail end of last season. He did an okay job. But if Partey is starting just 57% of games, it means the rest of the 43%, if you don't sign anybody, those games are being started by El Neni. Yeah. Does El Neni give you the same quality as Partey? No. El Neni is good enough for the one-offs. He can come in for a period. Let's say he's starting, give and take 10, 12 games a season. But he shouldn't be your direct replacement for Partey, especially a team that has done such a fantastic piece of transfer business overall this window. When Arsenal went and they signed Zinchenko, it was clear. They knew that Tierney, they had looked at his injury record, knew that this guy wasn't somebody they could build around, somebody that they could depend on for the long haul of the season. So why did Arsenal leave it until the last day? Why did they leave it to a point where Partey had to get injured, El Neni had to get injured before they went back into the transfer window? I'm surprised because look, if you've looked at the last two games Arsenal have played without Partey starting, those have been their worst performances so far. In terms of the ability to have a grip of the game. Against Fulham, it was end-to-end stuff. Fulham showed some promise. Yesterday's game against Aston Villa also, they needed El Neni. In fact, it was a goalkeeper who aided them to getting that equalizer. They've not looked as convincing as they looked in the first three games. And it just shows you the importance of Thomas Partey in the middle of the park. So, this Douglas Luiz setback is huge for Arsenal. I don't know if they will go again in the remaining minutes of the transfer.
Just about some 37 minutes ago, we have been told that
third bid
they took finally
was rejected again. So I don't know if they have a plan B in this situation, but it's quite disappointing. We also saw Tielemans start today, so it doesn't look like
he's making a move.
He will be leaving. I'm a bit disappointed because I felt like Arsenal were that midfield signing away from being a proper threat this season, because you can see things are finally beginning to take shape, even in the attacking area. If you look at the fact that early on in the window they went to £60 million trying to sign Rafinha, that didn't work. What happened to their need to get another forward in those wide areas? All of a sudden that has gone dead. So if you look at the options they have up top, it is in the number 9, it is Eddie Nketiah battling with what's his name? Gabriel Jesus. You look on the left-hand side, Martinelli is battling with Smith Rowe. And you look on the right-hand side, Saka is alone. There's nobody competing with Saka because Pepe has left the club. Yeah. And it's very problematic because this is the same Saka who was faced with fatigue at the tail end of last season. It's a long season. There's a Europa League. who is competing with Saka? Who is going to give him that edge to continue to battle and put in performances that will warrant his place in the starting lineup? So the fact that Arsenal didn't go for, I know you can't address all your problems in one window, but I feel like that party competition, that extra midfielder was extremely important for Arsenal. It is extremely important for Arsenal, and also Saka. Because look, we, from the tail end of last season to the beginning of this season, he's not been the same player, and he needs some competition in there to get the best out of him.
Talking about competition, so yes.
I was going to say maybe the plan is using Gabriel Jesus as the backup, because we feel like Nketiah will get some games, so maybe Nketiah will play in the strike and Gabriel Jesus will move to the right for some games, something like that. I'm thinking that might
because
be
Arsenal fans have been agitating the whole window for a winger. They say that, well, there's not much reliability in terms of contingency plans when there's an injury, so the team needs to go out there and complete the window by buying a winger.
Maybe the Marquinhos boy from Sao Paulo, maybe they've seen something that
no, but they've not.
He's a winger.
Yeah. He's a winger.
Maybe they are thinking to themselves that he's ready. Maybe there's something they are seeing we are not seeing. I mean, we're not in training with them every day.
So hardly do you pick a player directly from South America into the EPL, and he comes and
especially when he wasn't a starter in South America.
Exactly. And another thing that needs to be highlighted, another reason why they should, in my view, gone in for a winger is the Martinelli issue. That boy too is very injury prone.
Yeah.
Very, very injury prone. He's a fantastic player when he's fit.
But
he
spends a lot of time on the
physio stable.
Yeah.
Again, as to why they didn't address the party cover issue. Somebody to cover up, somebody to step in the shoes, somebody who more or less come and do something very similar to what Partey does for them. To me, is very, very shocking. And for the fact that they've started the season so well, it's like if you look at their last two games, they are actually hoping that, let's hold the title till he comes back. Let's hold the title till he comes back. Let's do it this way. Then scrappy, bang. Scrappy, bam, then they get the 3 points. But at the end of the day, for how long are you going to pretend and hope that it works? At this level, there has to be a clear strategy as to how to go about these things.
It must be clear.
It must be clear. If it is about let's go in there and hope that it works, you'll be caught unaware and you'll be punished severely. So for me, look, that Douglas Costa, I think they've been aware that the boy is on his last year. So the intent should have been clear. I think if they had gone in there a bit earlier, about 2 weeks ago, to give Aston Villa enough time, because he's a key player for Villa. So if I'm losing my key player, I should have enough time to get in a replacement. If you come and take him away from me on the last day, what do I do with him?
You wanted to make a point, Susu.
Just a small announcement. Kennedy has finally left Chelsea. He's joined Valladolid.
Kennedy has gone on loan more than anybody that I know. He's been on loan forever. Well, Memphis Depay, the update coming through is that he says he's decided also to remain at Barcelona. I don't know. United were looking at bringing in Memphis. Juventus were looking at bringing in Memphis. Let me go to the phone lines real quick. Nathan Kwao is just joining us over the phone lines. Meanwhile, you can keep sending in your thoughts via text, WhatsApp, and Telegram 0549 986 996. Susu, quick thoughts.
And the last one, it's been announced that there's a buy option for Arthur Melo, set at about 37 million euros.
Nice one.
So that is an option for the summer. So we'll see whether Liverpool.
Well,
use
I'm sure.
Is it obligatory?
No, I'm sure Liverpool will be evaluating his performance. Obodai, aka Soutum Steph Curry. Charlie. Nathan is on the phone lines. Nathan, if you can hear me, welcome to Don't Call Me.
Hi guys, how are you doing? Good evening.
We're great out there. I hope you're doing well out there as well. Just quick thoughts before I even get into details with you. I mean, getting into deadline day, what move were you looking forward to the most, and which one has you absolutely gripped so far?
I first of all, I'll say I wanted clarity on Ronaldo's future. Heading into today, there was so much talk about where he was going to, land, where he was going, to end up, that kind of thing. I wanted to see if any move would happen, on that side. So that was the first one. The second one was Liverpool studying interest in finding another midfielder. I found it really, really interesting, especially because Klopp said a few days ago he didn't need one. Now, it looks like they're going to sign Hector Bellerin. And that one left me a little baffled. I was listening to the guys earlier, and I think everybody made a valid point, especially Daniel, on I think Melo's availability. Because if your argument is that Thiago Alcantara is not too available, why find a player who is as equally injury prone as the one you are trying to replace? And I found that move.
I can't think far.
Yeah, I found that move by Klopp interesting. What is he going to do? Manage the two of them? So if this one is fit, this one is injured, and you turn them around, and then you finally get through the season. I don't know. So for me, those were the two things. That's what the other moves that are happening. I think my interest is peaked as and when they happen. The other thing I would say though is PSG. PSG seem to have a very interesting project where they seem to be clearing out their midfield and they seem to be regenerating it by bringing in some other players. So I found that really interesting, seeing that Julian Draxler and Gana Gueye and a lot of others have left PSG. So for me, I think that line day, the biggest thing was Ronaldo. Liverpool started interest in a midfielder. A bit on the back then, I thought I wanted to see some Kudus drama, but it looks like that may not happen. So in terms of the Ghanaian side, we'll have to wait and see what happens to Mohamed Kudus going forward. But I think that the team started to put in a lot of the paperwork a few days ago, knowing that transfer deadline day can be quite tricky when you're trying to secure a move. And then the final bit that interests me, this Chelsea bid for Aubameyang, I'd love to see how it eventually plays out. If they get their man, I wonder what Arsenal fans will say. But I wonder what Barcelona will say, because they brought him in, you know, they on a good amount of money. They are paying him quite well. It looks like because they brought Robert Lewandowski, they are quite happy to let him go. So I'd love to see how some of these moves play out in the next hour and a half to 2 hours, and then we see what the window will look like when it is closed finally.
Well, stay on the line for me. There's a move going through right now. It's gone through. Edmund Addo, a.k.a. Addo Skillful, has made a move from Sheriff Tiraspol to Red Star Belgrade. Now, Red Star had been pursuing Edmund Addo for a while. I expected that move to happen in January. Some way, somehow, it didn't happen. Sheriff Tiraspol, though, has become a home to 3 other Ghanaian players aside Edmund Addo himself. Mudasiru is the latest from Asante Kotoko to join there. What do you make of this move? It's a 4-year deal to Red Star. Just quick thoughts on that one before I take more thoughts in the studio.
Well, if you look at Edmund Addo and the fact that he had an absolute great breakout time in the Champions League, you knew that the moves would line up. You knew that teams would be interested. You knew that his agents would have found some leverage to get him a new club. I'm not surprised. Now, Red Star Belgrade is a club that has been home to a lot of Ghanaians. They currently have one now in Usman Bukari, who scored a lovely goal yesterday or 2 days ago. So I'm not surprised at all that Edmund Addo's gone there. Comes up to his agent. He's got to him a club that is bigger in profile as compared to Sheriff. I was hoping to see him again playing in European competition this season, but it looks like he's moving on to Red Star, which is good. Bigger in profile, bigger stature, bigger platform. He has to take advantage of that platform and sell himself a bit more, push himself a bit more, especially in terms of his Black Stars career. We have to admit, the last few times we saw him play for the national team, he didn't look so good. I don't know what the issue was. But now that he's going to a bigger club, I'm happy for him. He has to take advantage. There's Usman Bukari there to keep him company, so he'll be more settled and he can deliver. And once he delivers, you can always imagine that in a year or 2, 3 years, whatever, he will get a bigger move. But he has to take advantage of this. This is no more. Susu's on the line. Susu,
yeah, he's here.
Romanian. What's the name of that province? Something. I don't even know what it is.
Nistria.
Yeah. You know, this is not that. This is Belgrade. This is big. This is the Serbian league. So Edmund Addo has to take advantage. But I'm happy for him. It's a big move and he needs to take advantage of that.
So Nathan Donkomi's Addo Skillful. Daniel, let me come to you in the studio for that particular one. Edmund Addo, after taking the Champions League by storm against Real Madrid, moving to Red Star. They are in the Champions League this season. Donkomi or not? Good move or not?
By far, huge Donkomi. He's done his time at Sheriff. It was a good learning ground for him. Champions League experience. In fact, he played in Europe a couple of times, a couple of seasons, and I think he's done it. He's done there. I don't see the need to stay another season in that league. Aside the fact that they play in the Champions League and they've had a couple of appearances in Europa in Champions League, the competition in that league is not the best. And once you move to a club like Red Star Belgrade, with the tradition that they have, the stature that they have in European football, former Champions League winner, they themselves are in the Champions League this season. It carries much more weight. Yes, they are both playing in the Champions League, but it carries more weight when you are playing for a team like Red Star Belgrade. And also, it's also very helpful because when Osman Bukhari was moving to Red Star Belgrade, we spoke about the number of Ghana internationals or ex-Ghana internationals who had come through that club, and they love Ghanaians over there. They've already shown love to Osman Bukhari. He's doing amazing in his opening 2-3 months in that club. So to have Edmund Addo walk into that club, he already has that familiarity there. He has his Black Stars teammate in there. He's going into a club and a group of fans, or being welcomed into the club and the fans who already have a good history of Ghanaian players. So I'm happy for him. It's a huge step for him. It's a much bigger platform in terms of the Serbian league, and this team is also playing for one of the giants of European football in Red Star Belgrade. I'm happy, and I just hope he's able to cement himself in their starting 11 the same way he did at Sherry Tiraspol, because we want our players playing week in, week out, regular football, like what Osman Bukhari is doing. If he's able to take that team by storm in Red Star Belgrade and the league by storm, I don't see any reason why in the next 2-3 seasons we'll not see him even moving on to bigger things.
Coach, let me get your thoughts on Addo Skillful, aka Edmund Addo. Red Star Belgrade is where he's landed. He joins Osman Bukhari in Red Star.
I'm all for the move. For me, everybody knows my stand when it comes to getting our players to be exposed to the best. And for me, once it is an upgrade of where he was, I support it. I think Edmund's biggest problem, is his attitude, is his mentality. It will come down to him because he's got the physique, he's got the technique, he's got the ability. The simple truth is that he needs to see the bigger picture. That after Red Star Belgrade, I should be going to mainstream Europe. And if you look at the physicality of the player, the stature of the player, every good team in Europe will want to have such a player, because at the end of the day, he's that imposing. His stature signifies that, or sends that message across. But his ability will have to match up to the way he looks. So for me, it is only about, it will come down to what he's actually going to do on the pitch. It's a move at Donkomi, like Ranti rightly said. He goes in there and start bossing it. Start imposing yourself. Start dictating the tempo of games. Start getting everybody in and around you to believe in you. That once you are there, you are the boss. Like Partey has done at Arsenal. To the extent that when he's not there, every dozen and around are all shivering. So if Edmado can psych himself up and say, look, I think he's been at Sheriff for 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in 2 years, I've left Sheriff to Red Star Belgrade. He should be looking at himself. So I'm giving myself a minimum of 2 years here. A minimum of 2 years. Within 2 years,
So I've made my mark for my profile to have gone to become bigger.
To mainstream Europe. So it's a move at Donkomi. I think are they in the Champions League or did
They are in the Europa.
They lost their last
Yeah, so they didn't qualify.
So they didn't qualify for the Champions League proper. But the Europa competition is the second most competitive competition in Europe. So if he can go on there and boss that and impose himself, why not? You should look at mainstream Europe in less than maximum 3 years. You should be out of that place and come into the French league or the Spanish league, even the Italian league. I think his style of play will suit the Italian league.
That's very true.
To be honest with you, I think his style will suit. So for those in and around the boy, please tell him, please talk to him, please remind him that Red Star again is not the end; it's a stepping stone to something bigger.
Let me read a few messages and then we'll talk about Abdul Khalid Mumin, Right to Dream Products. He's played the last couple of seasons at Victoria Guimaraes. He's going to the Spanish La Liga to join Rayo Vallecano. We'll be talking about that in a bit. Ganiu Salifu says, I think the Marquinhos Brazilian is a backup for Saka in Arteta's team. Sami Inosu says, is there any chance of Rafael Leao joining Chelsea? I heard some reports that 100 million bid was rejected. So I'll come to you on that in a bit, and then I'll come to you on Sergino Dest as well. That's a very good player that all the big clubs have slept on, and he's gone to AC Milan. Alfred says, kudos to you guys. Alfred watching from Amasaman or Beyeye Yes, I'm happy Melo joined my darling club. It's my prayer that more signings happen tonight. So for those of you who don't know, we are live on City TV, DSTV channel 363. So just switch on your TV. If your radio set is giving you issues, get onto TV. You can actually get a good live action of what's going on. Coach might just give you the Salah, or the onlooking to just finish off the evening. So just hop onto City TV channel 363 on DSTV and let's do Donkomi together. This one's from Godwin from Adenta Frafraha. He says, I Donkomi Melo to Liverpool. Top class player, fits the profile. You never walk alone, you say. Desmond from Lakeside says there are reports that Liverpool are after Moises Caicedo. Please, is this true? We'll get some substance to that in a bit. Onufu from Akemoda. Actually, Onufu says
Snake.
He says, I want to know what Arsenal is up to, please. Arsenal fans, let me just ask this real quick. Arsenal, which player do you want your team to sign? But the word coming in is that the window has actually closed. So
over.
yes, the transfer window has actually closed.
So if you are, you've already started a transfer and working on paperwork.
Yes, you'll
you
be
have
able to
1 hour
to
do
be able
your
to do
paperwork,
that. Yeah.
but you can't make new bits.
We hope that fax machines will not break down this time around. Charlie, people will be hiding in airport washrooms and things, waiting for moves to happen. Charlie.
Okay, you finish.
Let me just finish with the messages and come back to you, Daniel. Eric Damte from Tema Committee 2 says, please tell United fans that football is played on the pitch and not by mouth. This coming Sunday, we Arsenal will beat them at Old Trafford. Prosper Demenya again says, good evening, team. I'm happy Chelsea have signed Zakaria and Aubameyang in the dying hours. My problem is that Chelsea don't give the number 9. Okay, so my problem is that Chelsea FC, please don't give the number 9 Kers jersey to our new forward. I lent a player called Khalid, a defender who was brought by Mourinho, wore that jersey, and since then, any striker who wears that jersey cannot excel. Thomas Tuchel, we beg you.
He was the original butcher.
Original number 9, Charlie.
The original butcher.
No, but the streak is long. From Hernan Crespo, I think Mateo Kezman. Like, there's just a long line of guys who have worn that jersey who have just not done well by it. Roland Vaxbone from Control Market says, please ask Danny K, what will Donny van de Beek do to get playing time? Thoughts with the coming of Ten Hag, he might get playing time, or just maybe he's not good enough for Man United.
I think he will play. So far, in the 5 games that United has played, I think he's gotten some second half performance. But from next week, there'll be 3 games every week. So if you are a coach, you better rotate, or else you now have to be depending on those guys who haven't played that much, so that they will get their first team to refresh themselves before coming again. If you are going to stick to the same team, there'll be lots of injuries in this early part of the season. So Donny clearly understands his situation. He knows that Ten Hag has assured him of enough playing time.
DK.
Look, in case I know that the transfer deadline, they always brings up some fascinating stories. Back in the day, we saw Peter Odimwingi had his deal cancelled at the last minute. Today there was another interesting one. Now I started monitoring this thing from last night because a number of portals I follow, so I was a bit confused about the deal. But it's Senegal's Bamba Dieng. He plays for Marseille.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So this morning the deal was that
offensive midfield, I believe.
Yes. The deal was that
I think he's a forward.
He's a forward.
You're forward, actually.
He's a forward. The news was that Marseille didn't want to sell him to a rival, that is Nice. Nice wanted him, Leeds wanted him. And then Leeds agreed a deal with him. Leeds United agreed a deal with him, with Marseille. Personal terms and everything were agreed. So now the player was flying into Leeds, supposed to fly into Leeds to have his medical. Yeah. When he got to the airport, Nice made a counter bid for to Marseille, which was more than what Leeds had offered. So then, of course, Marseille also accept that one. The Nice technical directors and their top guys called the boy at the airport when he was ready to fly to Leeds United and tell him that, look, we are willing to offer you more than what what Leeds United is offering you, so please come. So then he called Leeds United, tells them that, Charlie, the money I'm getting here, there is plenty, forget, I'm not coming anymore. So Leeds United were hot. Then, so he doesn't fly, he's in France, takes his train, goes to Nice for the medical.
Not even a train, it's just like an hour drive.
Just like an hour drive. So he sits in his car, Charlie, they drive him, he and his agent, they get to the Nice training complex, they go into the medical room, he does everything, he comes out, boom, he's failed the medical. So he's not going to Nice. He's back at Marseille. Very interesting day for him.
Your man goes stress,
so Leeds have signed Wilfred Noto. I don't know if you guys saw him in the Nations League. He's a teenager. He plays in Switzerland. Very talented guy. So Leeds have picked him up instead, and I honestly believe that's probably the better transfer. But
But I hear Leeds too have let go of Dan James.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why they were they were buying that's why
he's done so well for them at the beginning of this season.
Well, that's why they were buying Dieng, because knowing that Dan James was going, he was coming
on
to
loan. This is a player that Marcelo Bielsa bought for close to £30 million from Man United, who spent 17.5 on him and acquired him from Swansea. And his contribution to Leeds United staying in the Premiership was immense. He started the season in blistering form. I remember when they disciplined my Blue Bladders, he was scintillating, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
They're over 100 years back 4-3, couldn't live with them.
106.
106. We normally say in 106.
Let's talk about Hector Bellerin. Hector Bellerin, the news is coming through. Yes, Charlie, forgotten guy. Free transfer to Barcelona.
Huge wage cut.
1 year deal. Quick thoughts on that. So just quick.
That's
what's happened to him.
So that's what's facilitated the Sergino Dest deal we'll get to. But he was at Real Betis last season. He actually won the Spanish Cup with Real Betis.
Look, last season was brilliant.
He had a good season. He had a very good season. But he's come to Arsenal. Arsenal really, they don't have a place for him. And this is one of my problems with Arsenal. They are selling players.
They are not replacing them.
They can't get value. No, it's not they're replacing. They can't get value for the players they are selling, because you sold Aubameyang. Clearly, there's a market for him. And now Barcelona have been able to move in on. Hector Bellerin is going on a free transfer, but teams wanted him. But it's like they couldn't get a fee for him, so he's going on a free transfer. You've put a 15% sell-on clause. So when they sell him, you get part of the money. But I'm thinking to myself, why let a player go for free when there's value? Why can't you find a use for him? But speaking on that, Hector Bellerin, it seems he was just tired of London. He was done with Arsenal, the way it seemed. Because even at the Betis thing, they interviewed him towards the end of the season. They asked him, will he stay? He says, look, he's going to go back to Arsenal because he has to, not because he wants to. Basically, he had checked out mentally. He had been begging the club to terminate his contract, all sorts of things. So it's just the time had come up. He did well for Arsenal. He played his part, but time is up, and Barca wanted to kind of reduce their wage bill, so they let Sergino Dest go, and he's coming in more as a stopgap option for now. Because remember, Dani Alves too came, played that role, because they are thinking to themselves that for the right back's position, right now we have options, just come and play backup. Because I think they are starting Jules Koundé and Araujo. They are going to be the right backs, and they will figure things out.
Let me get back to the Premier League. I'll get to Fulham in a bit, but let me get Nathan's thoughts on what Chelsea had been doing before the window shut. Josko Vardiol, we didn't hear an update on that particular
he signed
deal.
a contract extension.
Oh, he signed
a 1 year extension. I'm wondering whether the 1 year extension was to increase his pay and remove the release clause or something. I'm sure. I'm wondering
it's very possible, very fishy there. And then there's also Douhe Caleta-Car from Marseille to Southampton. That is a very cheap deal. That guy should have gone for like 25-30 million. Southampton have signed him for 10 million euros. Let me get
They've
to.
also let Vestergaard go to Aston Villa. So there's always there's when there's an action, there's a reaction. So you have to also watch who the club are selling.
Let me get to Nathan and take his thoughts on this. Nathan, you typically follow the French league. Caleta-Car joining Southampton, coming to compete with Mohamed Salisu and Amel Bella Kochkap. I mean, did you see this move coming? Did you see Marseille picking up or letting a guy like Caleta-Car go? Just quick thoughts on that.
I'm not too surprised. The thing with a lot of these French clubs is that once there's some decent money being offered to them, they know that they will have to let the player go. Now, a lot of the French teams, you take away PSG, a lot of them, Lille, Lorient, Lens, a lot of them see their up-and-coming players as potential assets. So the moment you are 21, 22, 23, and the club that is bigger in profile or bigger in stature from a bigger league shows up, most French teams are willing to let you go because they know that they can quickly find a replacement, build that player up, and then make another sale in a few windows. So I'm not too surprised. And Southampton, if you look at their scouting network, they scout widely for a lot of players. So I'm not surprised they do have their hands in France. I'm not surprised that they've managed to bring in somebody to help the backline. If there's an issue Rafael Leao has had, it's defense and the fact that his team is struggling to stop opponents from scoring. So for him, it's about bringing players, bringing them into the team, giving them a platform, leading them, guiding them, and then when they get into the bracket of commanding a bigger transfer fee, then Southampton will be ready to let them go, so they can go back to places like France and Belgium and go and shop players. So I'm not surprised at all that they are bringing in another defender to help Mo Salisu. You can tell that now Mo Salisu is established. He has a German centre-back playing by him, and they all played over the weekend, and they are trying to add another youngster. So I'm not surprised at all. The French model is a very interesting model where they pluck youngsters, sell them off for some good money, and then start the process all over again.
Nathan, I'll come back to you in a bit. So let's talk about that Rafael Leao bid that apparently was rejected. 100 million. How is a guy who hit the limelight just 1 season ago how's the team offering 100 million for somebody like that? And why is AC Milan batting their eye and saying we don't want this money?
Well, he's the Serie A MVP, and I think we know where AC Milan want to be as a club. They don't want to just win the league. AC Milan is not there, as they always say, the Champions League is their DNA. They want to go find the Champions League, and even if you get 150 million, who are you getting to replace him? You have to ask yourself that question. They probably didn't see any alternatives on the market, and the time the bid came in was a bit late for them. I'm sure that's what they decided. They're trying to build a long-term core, and he's one of those members of the long-term core. I believe they are trying to even extend his contract. That's also part of the thing. They are trying to extend his contract as we speak. Currently, there's a 150 million release clause, so they've protected themselves in a way. They are trying to extend it, and hopefully they'll build their team around him, because with Rafael Leao, he won Serie A MVP, but we know this is not his final form. We expect more from him. We expect him to become one of the top wingers in the world. He's not there yet, but that's what AC Milan is hoping, and they are thinking to themselves that if he gets to where he's supposed to get, maybe 150 million will look like a bargain in the future. So they are trying to keep hold of him and hope that maybe one day they can sell him for 250, maybe 300 or something. Or maybe he never leaves. He becomes one of our greatest players and he wins a lot of trophies with us. Whatever the case is, I would have been very upset if Rafael Leao had left us an AC Milan fan. And I'm very happy the board has rebuffed it. 100 million is a lot. Yeah. It's a lot of money. And let's be honest, a lot of clubs, AC Milan included, are struggling with finances. Even our deal for Charles de Ketelaere, it was very difficult for them to get that 30 million to buy him. So when they throw 100 million in your face like that, the temptation is there. But I'm happy the board has stayed strong, and it shows that the ambition AC Milan is trying to show, whether it will be able to pay off considering the financial disparity between them and a lot of Premier League teams. Whether they'll be able to sustain that ambition is to be seen. But in the short term, it's good they are showing ambition. It shows they want to get back to the upper reaches of European football.
Coach, look, they've done so well, without a doubt. Yeah. I was shocked when I realized that they are turning it down. But of course, if you have a team that has been run by people like Maldini, isn't it? This is someone who knows his football and understand where Milan as a family. Yeah. I mean, they are a family where they are at the moment. And so for them to have, if they had decided that their best player by far will go, they are in the Champions League, they want to put up a proper defense to their title. They've not been that flamboyant in the transfer market. They've not gone in there like the Milan of old and dominated the transfer market like we used to see them do in the 90s, where they could go to Holland and bring the three best players in Holland, Rijkaard, Van Basten and Gullit, and then everybody goes, hey, what are these guys? And they use them to make all the names that they've made in the then what they really needed to do was to try as much as possible to hold on to their best asset. And I think they not letting Rafael Leao go, but getting him to stay.
As a statement.
The boy to understand that, look, you are the future of this team. Milan, Sana Abano. If I may just switch to quick. Sana Abano.
You mean Asem Naba?
Asem Nabantra.
Oh, Charlie.
I'm telling you honestly, because Milan in the 80s, in the 90s, goodness me, they would have bamboozled anybody in the transfer market. And to get when is it Berlusconi?
Yeah.
When he was in charge and he was
three-time Italian Prime Minister.
What? Prime Minister team.
There was cash.
Absolute cash.
More than cash.
Yeah.
More than cash. So for me, I was happy because look, you take him out of that Milan thing, you are left with old Wadis.
Ante Rebic, who is also injury prone.
Zlatan.
So Zlatan, over 40 years.
Zlatan, we are waiting for him.
Zlatan and
Giroud.
If you add their age, almost 100.
Pension
FC. Cool down fast.
32 plus.
He's turning 41 in October.
Okay, 41 plus. Giroud is what? 30,
38 or
36.
36. They're almost pushing 100.
Is that how you do your rounding up? Somewhere in 75, you say it's nearly 100.
They're almost pushing 100. They're old.
This your rounding up there. Your math teacher won't be happy.
If you add Ibrahimovic,
Yeah.
Giroud, and Rafael Leao, 100.
Okay.
Daniel, let me come to you on what's going on with Fulham Football Club, because they look like one of the most active teams in this window. First of all, they've brought back coach's good friend Willian. They signed Willian on a free transfer. Remember, Willian left and went to Corinthians, but he mutually terminated his deal with Corinthians a month ago. Just quick backstory on that.
He came and he wasn't playing that well. And then the Corinthians fans just lost it. They started sending death threats to him and his family. He started to feel
crazy.
They just felt like, because he was on big wages relative to the other players, but considering what he had been collecting in Europe, it was a pay cut. He had taken a pay cut to come, but his performances they felt were not up to standard, and they felt he was being paid way too much.
Of course,
so
fans turned on him.
They turned on him, very violent. And Brazil is a dangerous country. There's a lot of gun violence, kidnapping. So if people start making threats on your life, it feels a bit more real.
Yeah.
So he just told them that, look, you know what, this is not worth it anymore. I wanted to come and play out my last few days in Brazil. This is not so. And Fulham is good for him because as someone, he's lived in London for the last few years.
So he probably has a house even in London already.
So he just comes straight back to London, and I believe Fulham have got a very good player.
DK.
Fulham is good for him, but he's not good for Fulham.
Yeah.
Look, Willian is done.
Oh.
No, seriously.
As in,
mentally
finished.
He's done. He's achieved everything. And I said it when he was going to Arsenal. If you put that experience thing aside, and that's another one of the mistakes that Arteta made in Willian and David Luiz. There's no motivation.
David Luiz?
David I need to ring the bell for him. David Luiz.
David Luiz. But look,
he's a Flamengo.
Willian is
Flamengo. David Luiz.
Look, Willian is done. And if you look at the profile of players that Fulham signed this transfer window, and even how they started the season, these are young, energetic guys who they know what is at stake. They don't want this to be the story of their campaign, the league campaign in the past couple of years when they come and then at the end of the season they are going back to the Champions League. They want to stay. They started very well. They are buying a profile of players who understand the job and fit into the project. Willian for me doesn't cut it. Willian is his mind has locked out since he left Chelsea. He went to Arsenal, it didn't work out. Poor form, Arsenal let him go. You go back to Brazil and you still can't find your form. Then I don't know why he's not just retiring. Maybe it's because of the money. But honestly, he's coming to a place where he's comfortable in London. There was obviously a pay increase from what he was earning at Corinthians. He's back in the Premier League. This guy is comfortable. There's no motivation for him. And I feel Fulham should have done some better business. I know what they are doing by trying to get an experienced head who's been there, done before. But there are much better players who suit this profile than William. He's just not a Fulham.
I've watched a few Fulham games and they have this Niskins Kebaho.
He can run. If you run left the ball, run and run off the pitch.
I understand where Daniel is coming from, but I don't feel like they have much quality in the wide positions right now.
Because Willian still even have the legs.
Yeah, that's my point.
I understand where they are coming from in the sense that even though he's right about the motivation, that kind of stuff, but I feel even technically the people they have, they are not that good. So even if Willian comes in, he might even be a slight upgrade despite everything. That's the thing, because I don't see much quality in the wide areas for Fulham, which is the only reason why the Willian transfer makes sense. Because even the Manos Solomon guy they bought from Shakhtar, he's a very talented guy, but will he settle into the Premier League? We have no guarantee of that. He's probably their best winger on paper, but whether he can translate that on paper, because he's a Champions League level player who's come to Fulham, whether he can translate that to the Premier League week in, week out remains to be seen. So looking at the quality of players they have in the wide areas for Fulham, I don't see too much quality. So I can understand why. And look, that's why they even went for Dan James as well. You can see that Fulham have identified their wide areas are a weakness, and that's why they are making these moves. So I understand where Daniel is coming from, but Fulham Fulham is not that good, so they can't probably do much. Like, they can't do worse than Willian. Like, I don't see him.
No, I don't think you understand my point. I'm not talking about, you see, when you are buying somebody with the profile of Willian, the sort of career he's had, you are bringing him in to be sort of an example first of all, and then translate his quality to the rest of the squad. This is a guy who, we saw what happened at Arsenal. He came, he wasn't motivated. And you see, this Fulham situation is very similar to Arsenal. At the point Arsenal were starting to build, they had a young team. They needed a few experienced heads who would be an example. Willian was not. He was very comfortable, so demotivated. Performances all over the place. Basically didn't care, was getting a fat paycheck, and then they had to let him go. He goes to Brazil, it doesn't work out, and he's back to the Premier League with a similar task that Arsenal gave to him. What makes you think that this time around he will play with that energy, play with that drive for Fulham? He's not going to do it.
I just believe that the ambitions of Arsenal and the ambitions of Fulham
are
so
not the
different
same.
That the fact that Willian comes as a Brazil international, a proven winner, the aura he's already just going to bring for Fulham, because
it's very big,
it's very
and different.
It's very different.
Let me get coach's thoughts on that one.
William has lost every aura. William, I mean, he's finished.
Oh,
he's finished. Look, how old is he now?
Not sure. I have to check.
34?
35. But at the end of the day, you see, we see 36, 37, 38-year-old player come to the EPL because mentally they still believe that they've got something to prove. They go in there and they get the job done. We've seen Ibrahimovic, we've seen Cristiano Ronaldo last season, by far Manchester United best player, isn't it? Look at their ages. But at the end of the day, if you look at Willian, since he left Chelsea, his career has just gone down. What makes him think?
That's why Chelsea didn't want to give him that long extension.
As if they saw and they knew that was what was going to happen. So what makes him think that he can come to the EPL again and come and boss it? Maybe yes, like Soso said, the demands at Arsenal and then Fulham are very different. So maybe he will not be required to do anything extra. In Fulham, I'm very certain that the main aim of the season is to stay in the Premiership. Because the last time they were there, they got relegated. So if you are a level-headed person, you want to say, look, let's make sure you do everything possible so that we don't get relegated. If we stay in there, we've achieved our aim over the season. Maybe because of that, if they play 16, and they are not 20th, 19th, or 18th, even if they play 17, Willian would have achieved. Okay? So in that vein, you can say, okay, it's nice to bring him out there. But look, at the end of the day, if you look at the very high standard he set for himself and where he is at the moment, I think he should have gone to MLS or somewhere to just go and take some money.
The golf.
China.
Yeah, and go and take some good money and then go
good cash.
Go in.
Maybe he feels motivated again. He feels he has something to contribute.
We'll see. Let me get to Nathan on the lines. Nathan, talk to me about Livan Kurzawa to Fulham. Again, this is a loan move. Livan Kurzawa was a big guy. I mean, in the early phase of the big spending PSG project, he's fallen behind the pecking order. Same as a guy like Julian Draxler. We'll talk about Julian Draxler in a bit, but talk to me about Livan Kurzawa. They've gotten a left back in him from PSG. Is this a good move for you? Do you don't commit this or not?
I look at the quality Fulham have, and I don't commit that move. They need all the help they can get. If you watch Fulham this season, they've tried to be disciplined, they've tried to be stubborn. It looks like they will rely heavily on Alex Mitrovic and what he can give them from the offensive point of view. And if you look at that display against Liverpool and some of the games they've played, they will need a lot of quality to survive. This time, they haven't spent their money foolishly, and I don't have any regret saying that they haven't spent their money buying all kinds of funny characters. But you can tell that now they want to be smarter and wiser with their decisions. And the Premier League is a very unforgiving league, and Norwich City will tell you that. So I'm happy with the move. I don't know what kind of form Kurzawa has been in, because he's been, in the last few seasons,
he's barely played any football.
He's barely played any football for PSG. But he comes in with a good reputation, some quality, and quality that they will need. Like we always say, the Premier League is a very different type of league, but the quality is there, and I hope that it does show that quality for Fulham. So I don't commit that move. They will need all the help they can get, And so they are bringing in somebody who can give them something different. I don't commit that move any day. And I hope that Marco Silva will be able to find a way of getting something good out of Kurzawa, at least on loan. Then they can decide when that period comes to an end, whether they will keep him or let him go back to France.
Daniel, I want you to also touch on Kurzawa, but also touch on Carlos Vinicius. Mourinho brought this guy to Tottenham. We all had pretty high expectations for him. It didn't happen. He's heading to Fulham as well. Your thoughts on that particular one?
For Kurzawa, I'm happy. I'm happy because we know the quality that he has, and it's been a quite interesting stay at PSG for him. I think
he was doing a Phil Jones.
I'm telling you,
just they collect the dough.
He needed that break. He needs that break for his football career, and it's funny for me. He's just 29, and he spent like the past 4 seasons on the fringes. It's very funny because he actually
same with Julian Draxler.
Yeah, he went to PSG as one of the most promising left backs in the world, and all of a sudden he just dwindled down. But I think Fulham is a good club for him. We've seen the likes of Areola goes to Fulham. He built himself. Now he's at West Ham United. He has that ability. We know he has the ability, but his temperament is also a bit questionable. But let's hope that doesn't spring out of control at Fulham. But in terms of quality, I think he has the quality. He's a player who is motivated, because if he was satisfied with just sitting at PSG and collecting the money, he would have stayed there. You can tell that he wants to have a second bite at this football thing in his career, and I think Fulham is the right place for him to go to. For Carlos Vinicius, in fact, he's one of the examples of jumping too early. And one of the, yes, if Kudus wants to take an example of somebody who thought he was up there and came to the Premier League a bit too early, Carlos Vinicius is one of those guys. Finished joint top scorer in the Portuguese league. Mourinho goes, brings him in. He comes, he's supposed to be Harry Kane's backup, and he never gets it going. Then he goes to PSV, and now he's at Fulham. Look, we know he has quality, but that quality is based on what we saw at Benfica in his first season there, just before he came to Spurs. He's not been able to replicate that at PSV. Yes, he had some good numbers, okay numbers at PSV, but it's not up to the Carlos Vinicius we saw at Benfica. But I think he's a sort of striker. And the profile is very similar to that of Mitrovic, and you can tell why they went for him. You need somebody in there to keep Mitrovic on his toes. And even the way Fulham play, they can decide to play both of them up top, and that will be hell for any centre-back pairing in the Premier League. So hopefully he can regain and rediscover his best form. But even, look, if Carlos Vinicius is 70% the player we saw him at Benfica, I think this will be a quality buy for Fulham.
Let me go to Nathan real quick. I'll come to you, Susu, in a bit. Manuel Akanji to Manchester City. So coach was talking about the fact that City might as well have had the best window. Well, they added Brazilian centre-back Manuel Akanji from Borussia Dortmund. Fee is in the region of £15 million plus add-ons. Akanji, he's actually Swiss international, but if you look at his roots go back somewhere into the South Americans. But Swiss international, 15 million plus add-ons. Pep Guardiola adding this guy. Nathan, for a team that already has John Stones, has Nathan Ake, who didn't move, has Diaz, why are they getting Manuel Akanji as well? Don't commit this move at all?
This is one. Sorry, Manuel Akanji, when he plays for Switzerland, it's a very, very good defender. Looks brilliant when he wears his national team jersey. Not so brilliant anytime I've seen him play for Dortmund. And so I wonder why Pep would sign him. Of course, his ball playing abilities aren't so much in doubt, so you can understand it from that perspective. But I look at the art of defending, and the truth is, I wonder why Man City have made this. It's not like he's a very rugged type of defender, somebody who provides extra security. I see the move as adding an extra body in defense, so that when things go wrong, you have somebody to call on. There's Ake, you've mentioned. There's Stones. There's still Ruben Diaz. I think he comes in because probably, and that's the biggest suspicion I get, that a player like Emerick Laporte, may be the injury issues or the fact that he's not too available all the time could be the reason why Man City are making this move. It didn't take them too long to get Dortmund to play ball and agree to move Manuel Akanji on. But I look at Akanji in isolation as a defender, and I really, really have a few doubts about this move. But I understand the psychology of the move. I don't commit, but I'll be a little cautious. I don't think he will be Man City's first choice centre back. I feel that Ruben Diaz is. I feel that he and John Stones will get a lot more of the minutes. But I feel that Pep is bringing Akanji in just as cover and just as somebody who he can add to that back line, an extra body in defense in case things go wrong and he has to improvise and change the back line for whatever purpose it is.
This is a cautious don't call me, so I will ring the bell. This is a cautious don't call me. So you wanted to make
it's very important. No, it was Vinicius. It's
okay.
Very important to have similar profiles so that when you are changing the team, there's no much disruption. Because let's say Mitrovic gets a very serious injury, you don't want the team to play too differently when his replacement comes in. Because imagine if Mitrovic's replacement is a Callum Wilson type player, it means all your aerial balls are done. And if you look at the stats, Mitrovic is challenging for more aerial duels than maybe 10, 12 Premier League teams. The whole team, Mitrovic is challenging for more aerial balls than them. So you need someone who can come in and have that physical imposing presence. And I believe he wasn't given many chances at Spurs because of how good Harry Kane is. There was just no opportunities for him to come in and what Harry Kane can do. So it's not fair to judge him on his time at Spurs. And like Daniel said, the person we saw at Benfica is a potential elite striker, and maybe this is what he needs for his career.
Daniel, talk to me about Julian Draxler to Benfica.
Oh, Saleh.
This is a deal I think Arsenal should have done.
Oh, Arsenal?
Yes, 20 years ago maybe.
Well, maybe yes, but
maybe 6 years
they were looking for a winger and he was available on loan.
Draxler himself is not. Look, Draxler is not serious. Seriously.
Why?
No, Draxler actually had opportunities to leave PSG
long time ago.
Like
in fact, he spent at least the last 3 or 4 seasons on the bench.
Clearly.
With Ben Arfa and a couple of guys.
Even Ben Arfa them left and came back. And I'm surprised. That is why he's landing himself at Benfica. Because look, in terms of talent, he is a top talent, or was a top talent, because in recent times he's not been able to live up to that. And if you look at his age, it looks like he's on the decline. Yeah. I don't see him getting any top move after this Benfica move. It's quite disappointing based on the ability that he had. His link to Arsenal was like 5 years ago, long time ago.
I think during the Wenger time.
Yeah, during the Wenger time. Even that, I'm happy he didn't go to Arsenal. But look, I'm surprised he didn't move a long time ago, because he's not been in PSG's plans for like the past 3 seasons. I'm surprised it's taking him this long.
Even honestly, last season, they said he enjoys living in Paris too much. Exactly. That's why he's not leaving.
Look, if I look at
Charlie,
if I look at what is happening around PSG and their transfer outs, you can tell that it's the new manager who is forcing these guys out.
And Luis Campos, don't forget Luis Campos.
Yeah. We've seen Kurzawa leave.
Leonardo signings.
Luxury signings. Kurzawa leave. We've seen what's his name? My very good friend from Argentina.
Yeah.
Paredes is leaving. Paredes is leaving.
They say Icardi is refusing to leave.
But you see,
the money is cool.
He's forcing them out, and it just shows you that a number of these players were comfortable just sitting at PSG and collecting the cash. The lifestyle in Paris it's nice, and I'm a bit disappointed, because you like to see talented players being driven by their passion and their want to succeed, and he doesn't strike me as one of them. He's going to Benfica. Honestly speaking, I'll not be surprised if we reach December, January, and he's sitting on the bench for Benfica, because we know there's some top talents there in Portugal. There are some top talents there. They don't hesitate to promote their young guys if they bring somebody on this wage and the person is not doing enough. So yes, I'm happy he's left PSG, just by virtue of the fact that I was just annoying. It was getting annoying seeing him in the Paris shirt, not doing anything there. He's moving there. I'm just hoping that he'll be able to play his way back into what's his name, Hansi Flick's plans, because he has 2 months to the World Cup.
Isn't he a World Cup winner? I believe he was in that World Cup.
That's where I have an issue.
I don't think he was there in 2014.
No,
I'll just verify that for you.
I would have thought instead of going to Portugal, he would have gone to the Bundesliga.
Yeah,
I think that would have helped.
That would have
helped his cause. That would have been a better move than going to Portugal, because this is a player, I think, if he was self-motivated, very determined to put himself out there as, look, my days of being at PSG is over. Now I've come back. Like, of course, Timo Werner has just done. Whilst on Tuesday Chelsea was struggling for goals, he was scoring hat tricks with what
he was part of the 2014 World Cup.
He's played 58 times for Germany.
So he's a German international. So why didn't he go back to the Bundesliga to challenge himself there? Because I think the league in Germany is much more competitive than in Portugal. But he choosing to go to Benfica, maybe, I don't know, those Champions League teams in Germany were not looking at him. Of course, maybe they are not convinced about his attitude. So personally, I don't think it is a move out Donkome. And Draxler, by far, if you look at how talented he was when he was coming up.
I don't remember the last time I saw him playing football.
They used to bring him on like in the 80th, 75th minute to just.
Such a waste of talent.
Yeah, and the move to PSG, in my view, came too early, and I'm sure it was because of the cash. The cash showed to him
I have
at the
to
time.
say,
He couldn't turn down.
even leaving Schalke, he kind of forced his way out of Schalke to Wolfsburg at first. Before he kind of went to PSG, so he might be a bit of a problematic person in that sense. After that, and maybe there's some underlying things we are not really seeing.
Let me just come through a deal that collapsed. Michi Bellino, Michi Batshuayi. Michi Batshuayi
Collapsed.
Yes, the deal collapsed. Michi Batshuayi was looking to go to Nottingham Forest.
Where is he going?
Nottingham Forest.
Just in his goals. And Batshuayi is a Batshuayi. And Batshuayi is a very potential goal scorer. Oh, Charlie. He's a top marksman.
Let me ask Chelsea fans right now. Chelsea fans, are you happy that Batshuayi's move to Forest has collapsed? Do you prefer that he stays and helps the team?
How can you ask them this question?
Oh, no, let me ask them. Because they are
They had even forgotten he was playing for Chelsea.
They don't have markets. I've even forgotten that he's
Chelsea fans, how do you feel about Batshuayi's move to Nottingham Forest collapsing? Let me know real quick how you feel about that. You can also still send in your thoughts via text, WhatsApp, and Telegram.
I'm telling you, Nketia, I'm happy the move has collapsed because Chelsea needs help. They need top strikers to help them. And Batshuayi is one of such top strikers.
Can
you imagine?
We are don't come in. Batshuayi to stay at Chelsea.
I'm happy the deal collapsed, not for Chelsea but for Nottingham Forest. I was very disappointed.
And I'm going to go through every player they've signed when you finish.
Yesterday I was very disappointed when I looked at their lineup and I didn't see my boy Taiwo Awoniyi in the
Awoniyi.
I don't see why you sign a player with that pedigree coming into your team and then you bench him in a game against Manchester City when he has all the his profile just fits the attributes to disturb Manchester City. And they sat him on the bench. And if you look at Michi Batshuayi is not he's not close to Taiwo.
But he deserves to play for Chelsea. But why?
So I'm happy.
Do you remember he helped them win the title? No, even all jokes aside, he won
the goal that won the title.
He was scoring some goals.
Personally, I like Batshuayi. I don't know about you guys, but I like. Let me read a few messages that have been coming through, and then we'll finally discuss that Abdul Mumin move to Spain. Jesse from Sakomono says that please, does Eden Hazard still play football? Question for the gods. Joshua, I think I saw a Joshua text. Joshua from Winneba says Varane, Ronaldo, Casemiro makes Manchester United reunited. Interesting. Party Paul from Labadi Chado says, can you confirm for me? There's some speculation that Ole will be replacing Scott Parker at Fulham.
That's Bournemouth. He means to say Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, yeah. So that's the rumor going on. Roland Vaxbone again comes and says, any update on Batshuayi? Well, we just discussed that move has collapsed. Watching you guys from Instagram, coach, is always a delight to watch and listen to. #Don'tCommit. Please remember to add the #Don'tCommit to all your tweets. We are live on City TV. You can join us on DSTV channel 363. Also, you can join the Facebook stream. We are live on Facebook as well, so you can get us on there, and then you can also tune in to 97.3 City FM. You're listening to the Transfer Deadline Day Show. My name is Benjamin Nketia. You'll be hearing Susu Graham, Coach Christopher Nimley, Daniel Koranteng, and Nathan Kwao over the phone lines. I'll be getting to Nathan again in a bit. Nana from Kwashima says Dan James, Vinicius Jr., Willian, and Kurzawa. Fulham are having a transfer window you see on EPL in your FIFA career mode after playing 4 to 5 seasons. Faculty from Kwashiman says, I'm surprised at how Leicester have remained silent this window, looking at the number of players they've lost, especially with the goalkeeping position. Danny Ward certainly doesn't fit the profile of being Leicester number 1. Okay, so let me read more messages. Richmond from Ashaiman says, hi Ben, where is Fabio Vieira? Question for the gods. He's been on the bench a couple of games. I'm not sure why he's not getting game time. Ejayao from North Kaneshi says, Saliba is back and Arsenal is better. Proper Donkomi. Bernard from Kuntun say, Satellite Junction says, I Donkomi Zakaria to Chelsea. We really needed reinforcement in that midfield. This is huge. Drew from Adenta says, I wish United could have gone in for Kimmich as backup too. Hey! Who is selling you Joshua Kimmich? Joshua Kimmich is priced at almost 150 million euros. Don't even go there.
There's transfers. It's not FIFA. You don't just
Joshua Kimmich. Hey, Charlie, people have big ambitions.
You need Joshua Kimmich.
Hey!
He will look at you. Salihamidzic. He will not even
they'll think you are mad.
He will not even direct you to Oliver Kahn. Come on, get out.
He said, come on, get out of this office. What do you mean by it?
I want to talk about the Leicester thing when you are done reading the
quick
messages.
thoughts, yes. So just give us an update on Leicester City.
You have to be honest. Leicester has spent. They've been trying to break into the top 4. They spent a lot of money. They finished 8th. Wages. They have a high wage bill, an aging squad. All the players they are trying to sell, no one is really interested apart from Fofana. Tielemans they want to sell, no one is coming. How can they bring players in? And remember, their owner, what is his business? His business is duty-free shops. What has happened since Corona came? People are not flying anymore. So who's going to a duty-free to buy? So there's no cash. They're the opposite of Man U. Where cash is there, Man U. Cash is not there. So
yeah, I think the owners actually explained to the fans why they are not buying players. Yeah.
So as it stands, they look like a team to be relegated.
Leicester City, eh?
Yeah, because if
their form is
not
good.
Saying that because of Corona, do you know? Can they quantify the relegation if they were to be relegated?
And you see, even COVID teams, the Premier League clubs have broken their spending record.
That's it. We've
this
all
window.
been through COVID. We've all been through COVID. Yeah. If the likes of Fulham and Co can buy players. Leicester City
only Leicester and Ghana are suffering with still.
No, but even Inter Milan, a good example.
Yeah. But Milan's just their situation is right.
But I'm saying that it's the same COVID thing. The owner's company was valued about 8 billion before COVID. COVID happened. It's valued at 4 billion.
What I'm saying is,
then the moment he says that's why
the money Leicester City will make for being in the Premiership. You cannot equate that of Milan.
But that's why the points I'm making, that the owner is also pumping a lot of money. That's part of what has been.
They've sold Maguire for 80 million 2-3 years ago. By remaining in the Premiership,
they sold Fofana 75 million.
But I guess
the EPL alone will give you over 130 million for being.
But they still have to. But there are still expenses, running costs and stuff.
They'll get relegated.
They built a new training center. They've spent a lot of money.
These
are owners who
maybe the Fofana money will give them a little relief.
Yeah, no, these are owners who are dedicated to spending money. Let's be fair to them. They spent a lot of money. So if they say they can't spend now,
would you rather spend to stay up, or you rather wait and get relegated?
I honestly, I feel like if they sack Brendan Rodgers and a new manager comes,
they'll be fine. Well, let's see how that goes. Let's talk about Idrissa Gana Gueye to Everton Football Club. Now, just as a notification, we'll be wrapping up on TV at about 10:55, but you can still keep up with us on radio and also live on Facebook. So you can stay on Facebook, but we'll wrap up on TV at 10:55. Gana Gueye has signed a 2-year deal with Everton. Coach,
look, without even speaking on them, it's a move 100%. Look, he's one of the very underrated players. But in terms of efficiency and being very effective at what he does as a player, I think he's one of the best in the business. Look, he was commanding a regular position in this star-studded PSG team. We all know the situation that has forced him out of the team. he refused not to wear a certain jersey.
Yeah, we know.
Once he said he wouldn't wear that goes contrary to his religion. That was the beginning of the end for Idrissa Gana Gueye. So for me, I wanted him to leave, and I'm happy he's left. He's gone back to Everton, a place he knows, a place he understands very, very well. And for me,
and at Everton, if he doesn't want to wear the jersey, he will feel free not to wear
that jersey. It's a very bad jersey.
You just have to bring that in.
No, it's true. Because we all know that, look, his ability as a player has never been in doubt. And I think if you look at the fact that, is it Zakaria? He can stay fit.
Alan
can stay fit. They've just confirmed the signing of the Man United boy,
James Gana.
Look, these are all pragmatic players. If you've got the likes of Idrissa Gana Gueye strongly in midfield alongside James Gana and try and release, because right now, until I never knew the Nigerian boy, what's his name? Iwobi could play as a proper number 6 or number 8. But Frank Lampard has done so well trying to integrate him into that position. With the what's the name of the guy they bought from France? That black guy.
Onana.
Funny enough.
Look, can you imagine Idrissa Gana Gueye, Onana,
and Amadou Onana?
In that midfield.
I get palpitations when I see Tom Davis in a football game.
Yeah.
I'm asking myself,
what is he doing
on the pitch?
It's time.
Tom Davis.
I think his time is up.
It's politics.
Look, I think
he's from the youth team.
Offers nothing but energy.
Look, I think his time is up because Gana Gueye, Onana, Ghana, Iwobi, and Co. They will actually bring a bit more stability into the midfield and at least shield that very porous back line of Everton and protect them a bit more and let the forward thinking and attacking players go and then do their own thing going forward. But I'm shocked that Everton didn't. I think they bought a striker in Morpay.
Yeah,
so I think he's addressed a very
that's
good problem.
Morpay is +1 -1.
Yeah, you can also trust it. Look,
he's +1 -1.
Ghana Gueye's move is a move.
The move you don't call me. Well, just by way of updates, Marcos Alonso has completed his move to Barcelona as part of that Aubameyang swap deal. So Barca fans are upset. I don't know
why they're upset.
Telling the boy, they say they don't need Marcos Alonso.
They shouldn't be upset. Let me just chip this in. Why they shouldn't be upset? You took Aubameyang for free.
Yeah.
You sold him for 14 million.
Yep.
40 million euros or 40 million pounds. I don't know what the figure
14 actually.
Yeah,
14.
14 million.
Yeah.
And at the point where, according to the contract, his wages were going to go up. So you've dispatched him diligently. You've got him money. Why are you upset?
No, the issue is Marcos Alonso is a former Real Madrid player. And not only that, Marcos Alonso's
academy boy,
father played for Real Madrid. His grandfather also played for Real Madrid.
Charlie.
So
that is too much for Barcelona to handle.
I honestly believe that's what it is. That this is someone who's died in the world.
No, but they're a poverty team. What do they expect? But they're a poverty team.
You mean they are looking out for as many bargain deals as possible?
Exactly. As we speak now, they've been badly
poverty
managed.
and they're selling
their soul.
Yes, they've been badly managed over the years. They've sold things that they shouldn't have sold.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, you better and I said
what?
Honestly,
Charlie.
I think half the thing is his family history. Honestly,
Yeah.
I can't see any other reason
why they don't like
They
it.
don't really have a backup left back to Jordi Alba.
Yeah.
You know, so why they complain? They have this Balde guy from the academy, but
not good enough.
I know that maybe he'll be there one day,
ready.
but how sure are you?
He's looking very good. That young chap, he's looking very
Good, but maybe they don't trust him for the season. But whatever the case is,
he's young, so
I believe it's the Real Madrid connections that are
And
working
Jordi Alba
out.
is still there. He said he will.
Yeah, let me read a few messages coming from Twitter. So our good friend Bright Doe says there is a Mensa deal in every club window, and I think that what Barcelona is doing with Alonso is just what we are seeing. Alonso's move, he says, I think that's what Alonso's move is about, because I don't see anything positive in that transfer. Overall, I think Barca have had a good window across Europe. Let me read a few of those messages coming in before we take a quick break here. This one here says, hey, chairman, this one is from Fresh P. He says, hey, so chairman Phil Jones survives another transfer deadline day in Swobeye boarding. Hashtag don't call me. That's what he says. This one here says, hi, don't call me team. I want to know if Alonso's deal went through. Yes, it did go through. Also confirm for me if Loftus is still at Chelsea. Well, Loftus Cheek, Ojinemu Pamping. Ojinemu Pamping. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, he's right in the mix.
Batshuayi, they are there.
This one here is from Bright Tad. He says, I should tell coach to stop what he's doing, because we all know that Batshuayi does not even qualify to play for Chelsea's academy.
Who bought him? As we speak, Batshuayi,
he was signed for like 30 million.
Top striker. You are.
At all, top striker.
You are.
Well, I'll read a few more messages, but we'll take a quick break here, and then we'll sign off on TV, on City TV, so you can keep up with the conversation here on radio and also live on Facebook. So we are signing off right about now. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be rounding up all the best deals that have been done, the done deals, your top 3 signings of the transfer window and what's not to round it up. Stay with us here on Don't Call Me. We'll be right back. Rayo Vallecano. Apparently, he was supposed to move to AFC Bournemouth, but Scott Parker got fired and that deal fell through. Are you Donkomin Khalid Mumin to Rayo Vallecano from Victoria Guimaraes?
I'm happy he didn't go to Bournemouth.
Oh,
I don't
you don't want him in the Premier League?
I don't think
he want him in a sinking ship.
I don't think he's ready ready for the Premier League now.
How so? How so?
How so? Because look, we've seen players make the jump from the Portuguese league into the Premier League, and I don't think he's one of those players I don't think has established himself properly in the Portuguese league. Yes, for his level, he's good, but as I said, the Premier League is very unforgiving, and to come to a team like Bournemouth, who are bound to concede goals, was always going to be a problem for him. I'm happy. The Spanish league has been very good for Ghanaian defenders. We know Joseph Edmund is there doing very well. And that's where Salisu came from his time at Valladolid. I think it offers you that platform first of all, and then the style, the pace of the football in Spain, the style, the tactical flexibility there also helps you develop. So I think he's picked the right clubs throughout his career, from Northland to Portugal to playing for Victoria, now to Vallecano. I think if he takes his time, he has the profile of somebody who will make a fine top class defender in the near future. I don't think he should rush things. He's still young, and as you said, you've spoken about his attributes, his passing ability, defensive awareness, ability to read the game. This is the make of a modern day centre back. And as I said, I don't want him to rush things. I'm happy he didn't come to the Premier League. He should take it at least a year or two. 2-3 years in Spain, and then I think he'll be ready to make the big jump to the Premier League. And hopefully by then, when he's coming, he will not be coming to one of the lower teams, maybe mid-table or one of the top teams there.
Coach?
Yeah, I agree 100% with what Dike has said, because at the end of the day, this is a player I really do love, because of the way he's cultured his game. His game is revolved around common sense. Football, is not played by idiots. If your brain is not
idiots,
I need you to repeat that again for me.
I said football, is not played by idiots.
Thank you very much,
if
Rabbi.
Your brain is at work. You tend to do it very simple. And for this young man, he's one player who uses his brain most often than none. So you hardly see him in that physical battle, although he's got a physique to engage in that. He reminds me of Rio Ferdinand, sort of Thiago Silva, of course, in his heydays, where there wasn't the need to be physically involved. Just use your common sense, and then things will be made simple. So I'm happy he's gone to a league where technicality is more or less the norm of the day, because the Spanish league grows on that, flourishes on technical players. And for me, he not coming to the EPL, he's still developing though. He's not there yet. I believe he's choosing the right choice, and I want to say kudos to all those advisors, those that help him make this decision. It was a wise one, and it's a move 100% don't commit.
So the move has been don't commit. What we are going to do, you guys should send me your thoughts, your top 3 transfers this window. Who are your top 3 transfers this window? I'll take that around the table as well. Your top 3 transfers this window. So let's talk about Sergino Dest to AC Milan on loan from Barcelona. I am shocked. Again, not that AC Milan is not a great spot for him, but United were looking at buying a right back. They toyed with actually getting Sergino Dest at a point. For a player as good as he is, I thought that he was on a very affordable side. The price was being quoted at what, 20 to 25 million.
So he's on loan with an option for 20 million.
To
option,
buy
so no
from
mandatory.
Milan.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. How good a move is this for Milan, and how bad a miss is this for other teams?
I have to say, from the Milan standpoint, I'm a bit confused because we have David Calabria, our club captain and starting right back.
Yeah.
We have Alessandro Florenzi, who many of you know, an older player from AS Roma, one of our highest paid players actually, also a right back. So I'm trying to understand. My suspicion is either him or Florenzi is going to be used more as a right winger this season. That's my suspicion, because otherwise the transfer doesn't make sense. Because what do you need 3 right backs for? You know, it just doesn't add up to me. So unless they've decided that they want him to come and play right back, or maybe they see him as cover for left back, that might be another thing, because Balotelli has left and there's no other left back in the squad as far as I can remember, apart from Theo Hernandez. So maybe he's there to come and play left back, which also is another, makes sense, but I don't see him coming to play right back for Milan. That's the only thing. But if he's coming to play left back, I find it strange they didn't find a specialist left back, but rather someone who can play both. So maybe their idea is maybe because Florenzi might not be there next season because of his age, so you get Destin as your backup right back. He can also contribute at left back. Then next season you get a left back, or he's going to play the right wing. But when I look at it now, I don't see a place for him in the squad. But I know Maldini has a plan. Even when I've doubted him, he showed me I was wrong to doubt him. So I'll just watch Maldini and let him cook, because that's what he does best.
For me, look, I understand. In fact, when I saw the Sergino Dest to Man United rumors, I was praying United were going to make that move. He's basically Diogo Dalot. Lopsided game, very good offensively and poor defensively. And even on the offensive side, if you watched him with Barcelona, he's not been as good as he was at Ajax. He's not been as convincing as he was at Ajax. He seemed a bit confused by Barcelona's system, especially when Ronnie Koeman left the club. And he's not the sort of player United needs at this particular point in time. If United are going to get a right back, they need somebody who's not just young, but somebody who understands the position, offers balance. Exactly, offers balance, similar to what they did with Malacia on the other side. Not just good going for it, but defensively also sound and young, ability to read the system, and somebody who is sustainable for the next 3, 4, 5 years at the club. I don't think Dest is the right person for Man United. And also, as I said, the comparison between himself and Dalot, very similar players. If United has somebody like Dalot, I think they need a more balanced right back to come in and offer him some competition in there. Clearly, Wan-Bissaka is not the guy, but I feel United are better off keeping Wan-Bissaka for now, doing more extensive scouting, and then getting somebody in, maybe in the January transfer window next summer.
Let me talk about a strange transfer. So talk to us about this one. Lucas Ocampos. Very strange transfer involving Sevilla and Ajax Football Club. Now, apparently Ajax were trying to get him as a replacement for Anthony. They say midway through the flight, somebody said that we don't want the player again, and so the player was left in limbo.
No. I believe he's been signed in the end, but I believe that the Ajax board disagreed with the fee.
17 million?
They felt, I believe it was 20.
Initially
so 20,
yeah.
Gone now. So I believe what they said was that the fee was too high, and they weren't going to release the money. You know, that seems to be what happened, and it just shows where Ajax are in terms of how they think about.
But they Ajax have a truckload of money.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking when I said that you had just got 97 million, 95 million.
Why are you not trying to spend 20 million?
What's
20 million?
But you know, they have plans. They know what they are doing.
Every dime
has its place, so they know what they are doing. So I guess they felt, but it's a good move for them. He can play on the right, he can play on the left. He's a great goal scoring winger. Yeah. He had a very good season with Sevilla. Sevilla did very well, but you know.
Well, let's talk about the top 3 transfers of the window for each person. Coach, let me come to you for starters. I'll take a lot more from my message box in this one. I'll take some tweets as well. Let me start off with you, Coach. Top 3 transfers this window.
I think the first on the list for me will have to be the boy at Manchester City. He's a player I have loved.
A player you wanted to come home.
Really wanted
but he swerved you.
But he, although he's in the city of Manchester, at least that will, if I want to see him, I can just drive by.
Simple.
And see him and take some good selfie with him.
Oh, really?
Look, Erling Haaland, I have said that I think he will score more than 30 goals. Because...
Are you putting your money on him to break the Premier League record this season?
Yes, of course.
It's 32 only.
Already he scored 9 in 5, isn't it?
That's crazy.
So he's on course for 68.
Yeah,
according to the XG.
If you look at the math,
the projection,
68.
So he's already scored 9 in 5, and if you look at Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, there are teams that he has some hat trick already guaranteed. Yeah. So for me, he's my number 1 transfer of the window, and then number 2, it's a player that nobody is given any chance to. It's a player that nobody thinks is fit enough to be a proper centre back because of his height. But after his
the butcher,
he's looking more like the real deal. Take it or leave it. He's that player who can pass from the back. He knows when to go in and butcher. So he does that with some good effectiveness. And take it or leave it. Look, 3rd on the list. I'm yet to see him play. Anthony.
Oh, Charlie.
Anthony.
Oh, Anthony.
Oh, small.
Oh, Anthony. Oh, Anthony.
Saturday, Jinjenko. A bad nana. Jinjenko. He will see what we don't see. Jinjenko. He will see.
Jinjenko.
They say they have a song for Anthony.
Oh,
Anthony.
Oh, Charlie.
You see that culture?
Anthony.
Cultured left foot.
Oh,
they don't make a selfie.
Boyfriends. Quick.
Look, Abashame.
Oh, quick. Akpe.
Abashame Akpe. No more the ball in the door. Me the kudo.
Oh, Charlie.
Only a Benfica. Benfica. Ne passashi. Quick. No more.
Shale Ekpe.
I'm telling you honestly.
Anthony, Daniel, let me take your top 3 signings of this window.
Look, Erling Haaland is number 1. Coach has said it, so I'll not talk too much about him. Number 2 is Tchouaméni.
Willian Tchouaméni.
Yes, it shows a team that is planning. And in fact, an interesting thing about Real Madrid's transfer strategy over the past few years and Bayern Munich, you see these top sides buying bright young talents for the future, and it just shows you the sustainability and the progressiveness in which they are taking things from. And I'm happy. Real Madrid bought him for 80 million, and then they sold the 30-year-old Casemiro to Man United for 60 million. That is top business, and they are more or less guaranteed top-class performances from Tchouaméni for the next 4 to 5 years. And I think that was a quality transfer. The third one might surprise you, but Zinchenko, Arsenal's acquisition of Zinchenko. I spoke about Zinchenko, the great Zinchenko. Spoke about Tierney's injury problems with the team. So their need to get in a top-class left back to put some pressure on him and get that competition in that particular position, and they did that. But also because of the tactical flexibility of Zinchenko. And if you watch how Arteta has deployed him, you can tell that this was extensive scouting. They knew why they went for a player of his profile. And I would not be surprised if when he comes back from injury, he'll be that permanent left back for us now. His ability to slot into the midfield, offer them that calmness. In fact, when Arsenal are progressing the ball, you see him draw into the midfield with Partey. That also allows Xhaka to be making those forward runs, and that's something that we've not seen too many teams do. It just shows you the tactical thinking that has gone behind the purchase of the player, and you can tell that this is somebody that fits perfectly into Arteta's plan. So hopefully he's not somebody who's been faced with too many injury situations, and we know that he'll come back very soon. He'll stay fit, and he'll be able to help us now push for that top 4 spot, or even maybe the title as it stands. But I think he's a top class signing, especially even for the money that he went for.
Suzu?
Obviously Haaland is number 1. Very simple. There's no much to be said. No contender, because the truth is he's not. I wouldn't even say he's playing well in the sense that he's scoring, but he's not getting involved in the build up. He's not adjusted to Man City's system in the sense that they're just putting the ball in the box. He's not yet ingrained in the team like that. So I can only imagine that as the season progresses, it's only going to get better. The next player I want to mention is Casemiro. I know this one might be a bit controversial, but Man U have been crying for a defensive midfielder for years. So the fact that they've addressed this problem with one of the best in the world is very simple. Like Daniel said, Tchouaméni has come in to replace him. But the reason I wouldn't put Tchouaméni there is I don't know if Tchouaméni is yet at Casemiro's level. He will definitely get there. That's the projection he's going on. So, but right now Casemiro is one of the best in the business. And Man, you have, when you have a problem, they've basically done this. Your car gets spoiled and you go and buy a Ferrari. That's what they've done, and that's how I see it. And it's a great transfer for them. But hopefully his fitness doesn't fall off a cliff and his performance don't fall off a cliff. But looking at it now, I'm for Casemiro. But number 3 is difficult for me, so I'll just put 2 names. These are both from La Liga. I would say Rudiger and Lewandowski, the 2 of them. I can't decide.
You can't decide between the 2 of them.
Because Rudiger can't get into the team of remedy.
Don't worry.
At 400,000 euros, though.
Yes.
Don't worry. The season just started. Don't worry.
You see, if you look Carlo, if you know the way Carlo Ancelotti does his things, he's one of those very faithful managers. Yes. They tend to,
if you trust him,
you stick with his people.
Yes. So for me, Rudiger maybe should have given this thing a second thought.
Let me go to the phone lines and take Nathan. Nathan will give us his top 3 transfers, and then we can let him go because he has to be here early tomorrow. Nathan, quick thoughts. Your top 3 transfers of this window. Okay, I don't think Nathan is there on the line. I'll take some messages coming through, and then I'll come back. Suzu?
I didn't finish on my Rudiger and Lewandowski points.
Okay, quick one.
I'm just saying Rudiger is one that right now he adds something to their defense. He's an elite centre back. So even if you decide to pair him with Militao, you can push Alaba out wide. You don't lose anything. He can replace Alaba or Eder Militao at any point. You don't lose anything. And for a team that just won the Champions League, adding such a quality player to their back line only makes them stronger. They may not have got that right winger they were looking for. They may not have got Mbappe, but it's still a very solid addition. And Lewandowski, there's not much to be said. This is one of the deadliest strikers in Europe. And Barca have picked him up. And it's that simple. They are going to they have Rafinha and Dembele just whipping crosses into him. He will eat. So, Lewandowski is Lewandowski. He's one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
He's just a tier below some of the strikers we've seen in the past years, in my opinion. But in terms of getting those goals, he's still up there. So, great transfer.
More updates coming through. Aubameyang has just signed his Chelsea contract. So, Comunicado Oficial. That's what it is. Oba is back in London. We'll see how that plays out. Serge Aurier has completed his move to Nottingham Forest on a Charlie said.
So this was player number 21 or 22?
21.
What is this?
21. In fact, I'll go through every name for you just so you know how real it
in
is.
the championship, they had close to.
But the truth is also that they've actually cleared out. Let me see my numbers here. They've cleared out almost 25 players.
Yeah. Yes, so they had to buy.
So they've brought in a lot of players. They've cleared out a lot of players. So that's the goal. Like I said, Serge Aurier has joined. Willy Bolly has also joined from Wolves. Renan Lodi.
That's the transfer I don't understand.
I'll come back to you on that in a bit. So let me just quickly go to the Forest transfers, and then I will get Daniel's thoughts on Renan Lodi. So Ryan Hammond from Millwall, Taiwo Awoniyi, Dean Henderson, Julian Biancone, Musa Niakate, Omar Richards, Neco Williams, Wayne Hennessy, Brandon Aguilera, Harry Tofolo, Louis O'Brien, Jesse Lingard, Orel Mangala, Emmanuel Denis, Cheku Kuyate, Remo Friula, Morgan Gibbs White, Juan Uijo, I think the name is, from Girondin Bordeaux, Renan Lodi from Atletico, and Willy Bolly. Renan Lodi, right back from Atletico. Left back, actually, sorry, left back. What's going on with that?
I'm shocked. When I saw that transfer, look, how? Was it in March he was denying Man United a place in the Champions League quarter-final? Top class performance for Atletico Madrid. And now he's at Nottingham Forest.
Is it a loan deal or it's permanent?
Loan deal, actually. It's a loan deal. Yeah, it's a loan deal.
I was very, very surprised. First of all, how did Nottingham Forest
pull off a deal like that? Because
attract him.
He will not come cheap, actually.
Because the Premier League is the real Super League.
I'm telling you. Look,
this is what Florentino Perez saw coming. He said, let's go and do Super League.
How rich the Premier League clubs are. Their financial
they've actually broken their record for money spent this window.
Look, the financial pool that they have, and it just shows you. But look, it's a top signing for them. Hopefully they will stay up and then they can push and make it permanent. But look, Renan Lodi he's a top player. Atletico Madrid got a replacement and they let him go. But if you look at him, going forward, he's brilliant. He's so athletic. He has the strength to bump up and down the field. And he has that defensive balance that you want. He's not the greatest of defenders, but he can do the job as a defender. And going forward too, he's also very threatening in the final third. We saw him against Manchester City yesterday. In fact, the few openings that Nottingham Forest got in that game was through his side. He's almost like Marcos Alonso in reading when to enter the box, when being at the right place at the right time in terms of attacking movements. And look, he's really good. And for Nottingham Forest, I'm happy for them. I just hope that they stay up and then they're able to push and make this deal permanent because he's a top class player.
Renan Lodi, I'll go through a list of Ghanaians that have also moved this window, just so you know what's going on. So Felix Afena-Jan made his move from AS Roma to Cremonese. Osman Bukari from Ghent to Red Star Belgrade. Daniel Kofichre moved from St. Pauli to SC Freiburg. And then we had Gideon Mensah also moving from Red Bull Salzburg to AJ Auxerre. Isaac Atanga moved from FC Cincinnati to Godstepe. That's a loan move. Benjamin Tete made a move from Yeni Malatyaspor to Hull City. Tariq Fosu moved from Brentford to Stoke City. And then you also had Samuel Owusu moving from Al Fire to Kukariki. Ransford Yeboah. Ransford, is it?
No, Samuel Owusu moved from where?
Al Fire
to where?
Kukariki.
In the same league.
No, Kukariki is Serbia.
Yeah.
So he moved from Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia to Serbia. Kukariki. Yeah, Charlie Ransford Yeboah moved from Dynamo Dresden to HSV in the Bundesliga 2. Joel Fameye moved from Orenburg to Rubin Kazan. Isaac Saki moved from Hatayspor to Umraniyespor. Hey, Charlie, the Turkish names there. Majid Waris moved from Strasbourg to Anotosis Famagusta. Cyprus.
Charlie.
Hey, Waris. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this. Oh, Charlie. And then there was also a surprising move. Kasim Nuhu Adams, after rotting on the bench in Hoffenheim, made a move to FC Basel. That's a loan move. So he's in there. Stefan Ambrosius also moved from HSV to Crouchshaw. And then there's Clifford Abuaje, free transfer to FC Querétaro. Still stays in the Mexican League. And then there's also Emmanuel Boateng, free transfer to Real Ave in the Portuguese Primera. Emmanuel Lomote. Oh, Charlie Patrick Akotos Lomote.
I heard a deal earlier today. Wakasu.
To where?
Has that to Kasuyupen? Has that been confirmed?
I'll have to.
Just seen in Belgium.
Yeah, Kasuyupen.
Listen, this list is from. I compiled this list yesterday at midday, so I might have missed some of the transfer, but this was as of midday yesterday. These were the Ghanaian squad.
So Emmanuel Lomote moved from Almeida to Malmo. Gilbert Kumsin moved from Kasimpasa to Glimt, and then Ibrahim Imoro moved from Asante Kotoko to Al Hilal. We had Rashid Abubakar also moving from Accra Lions to FK Sarajevo, and then also Maxwell Woleji Addo, and that's a move that happened very early in the window. He moved from FC North Island to Victoria Guimaraes. So a lot of Ghanaians have moved this window. Sheriff Tiraspol had.
I'm not seeing the Wakaso move. It's not
on. So yeah, so we can't give you an update on that. So there was also Edmund Addo moving from Sheriff Tiraspol to Red Star Belgrade. Osman Bukari also moved to Red Star Belgrade from Ghent. So those are the Ghanaians that have been moving. Let me get to my message box and see what your top 3 transfers have been as we wrap the show up. Okay, Drew from Adenta says that 150 million for Kimmich is a bit too much. However, my top 3 signings for this window: Haaland to City, Mane to Bayern. Everybody forgot about that. Lisandro to United has helped our defense a lot. Kobe from Nkwanta says my top 3: Paqueta to West Ham. I'm a Chelsea fan, but I select the Butcher, and finally Erling Haaland. Lambert in Dodoa says my top 3: Erling Haaland, Martinez, and Lewandowski. TJ from Insawam says my top 3 signings: Ivan Perisic to Tottenham, Richarlison to Tottenham, Haaland to Manchester City. Ni Anang Fio inside Nungwa Adogon says my top 3: Lewandowski to Barca, Haaland to City, Gabriel Jesus to Arsenal. Sami from Osu says Lewandowski, Haaland, and Aubameyang. Kwame Ampom from Atomic says Haaland, Malacia, and Martinez. Okay. Richard from Damfa also says that Delete to Munich, Di Maria to Juventus, Paqueta to West Ham. Kulusevski says that Haaland, Lewandowski, and Oba. Daniel?
In fact, I missed the transfer.
You missed the transfer.
I missed it.
Which one is this?
Because it happened quite early in the window.
Which one is this?
Paul Pogba to Juventus.
Charlie, behave yourself over there, my brother.
I am not.
Don't
he's exactly what Juventus need.
The one who has been spending.
He's actually not wrong.
After he
is it's
true.
Exactly
Is
what
he not
spending time with some Juju man right now?
No, he's bearing highness according to his.
That is the most. No, how does a man bury a hyena in the middle of Old Trafford?
I believe that's it's not every time I believe.
No, but but it came from a credible source though.
Credible.
Get French football. Get French football. I mean,
get French football said his brother said, but his brother tweeted it. It's out there.
Yes.
You see, Matthias.
Exactly.
How can Pogba enter Old Trafford
and dig
and bury a hyena? The security man, nobody will see.
Nobody's going.
The groundsman.
I can imagine
it is Anthony Martial who is the only one in the stadium at the time. Who sees it?
We have to be honest. The groundsmen of Premier League clubs they are professionals. So it's not some random guard now. This someone is probably studied horticulture and things. He has a masters in groundskeeping. You are telling me
where this
sleep. Yeah.
And you are telling me that someone came to dig his pitch.
Pogba carried a hyena.
That's another thing. Let's even go into let's even go into that. A hyena.
Hyena.
Endangered. You think you can move animals by heart?
In England.
Where is he going to get a hyena from? He went to
the bottom line is that Paul Pogba has been spending money on ways and means. Trying to keep fit, but the fitness is not. It's not fit. You mean it is not a Ghanaian and an African thing?
No.
The whites. Look, all these
sacrificing cows and chickens and things. But we know these things.
Paul Pogba, respect yourself. Let me read more. Taos Chechimense says his top 3: Onana, Mopai, Gana Gueye. Wow, okay.
An Everton fan,
yeah. Farouk Headliner says Haaland, Jesus, and Di Maria. Nidodu from Kolegono says Haaland, Martinez, and Jesus to Arsenal. Raymond from Afenia says Haaland, Lewandowski, and Jesus. Neo Dante from Kaswa says Haaland, Lisandro, and Jesus. Bedroom Maestro. Chale. Bedroom Maestro.
I have to say something. I'm seeing a lot of Lisandro Martinez. I find it very interesting because the narrative has shifted so quickly.
He's not tall enough. He's not tall enough to the.
I find it so interesting.
This one here. I'll read a few more. Let's go up. Let me read a few more. Gobe what? Gobenansa. Gobenasa texting from Matayoko says, why is no one talking about Balotelli to FC Sion? Let's just do that real quick before we go. No, I am a big Balo fan. Balo has moved from Adana Demirspor to FC Sion.
No, but I think he was doing well at Adana.
He did really well.
He did very well at Adana Demirspor. I'm surprised he left because they finished fourth. He scored like 13 goals. Yep. So that's what happened.
He fought with the coach. The next day he's out of the.
He and the coach had issues from the beginning.
He got called back because the coach is not serious. He even got called back to an Italy training camp ahead of the qualifiers, you know, because of his performances there.
Put some respect on Balotelli's name.
In fact, Mancini's mother said that she doesn't understand why her son didn't call Balotelli, because if Balotelli comes, he will just trap the ball, turn and shoot and score.
If I look at the strikers Italy have now, Balotelli definitely belongs in there. They should respect themselves.
So, you see, Immobile has won top scorer in Italy 4 times, but he comes to play for Italy. Zuku.
This boy has just not been fair to his own talent.
Oh, Charlie.
I'm telling you honestly. Balotelli. No. If
they were
somebody who Jose couldn't tame.
I'm shocked.
Nobody can tame him. But let me give you the closing prayer on this one.
Oh, Charlie. Wonderbushi woke ubele ya cho manche yele aba. Wonderbushi ake oke wo jenshin.
Jenshin. Hard.
If you be a duty. Be a duty. Be a duty. Oh, don't come in. Oh, Charlie. Be a don't come here. No, ya ne. Bejala banagbe. Nagbe. Banagbe. Ahome na ba home. Ke jomo wo.
Oh, Charlie.
Look how no ya share na.
Anthony.
Jomo Anthony. Oh,
Charlie.
You want to jomo le. Oh. Hogbani bani jomole. Jole ye hogase. Chale aye. Anthony Bashia.
Anthony.
Oga wonshi ka Anthony Lala.
Anthony Lala.
Anthony. Oh, Anthony. Oh, Anthony.
I want to give a shout out to my man Parkwesi Kuduaji, big man. He's a lawyer. It's his birthday today. I have to shout out.
Parkwesi, big up to you wherever you are. Thank you. And that's it from us here. It's been absolutely wonderful hanging out with every one of you. Thank you for those who tune in to City TV, City 97.3 FM, Facebook, who sent in text messages, tweets, and all of that. My name is Benjamin Iketia. Did this with Coach Christopher Nimley, Daniel Koranteng, Susu Graham, Nathan Kwao, Rita Mensah with Hans in the background, Edwin Kwakofi, Daniel Squashy, Yahweh Jamie Tan, everybody who helped us to make this a success, to the camera crew, the directors, light, sound, everybody. It's been amazing hanging out with you. We'll upload this show on our YouTube channel, so you can go out there and rewatch it all over again. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe wherever you are.
Medasi. A don da also. Don't come you.